your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why? $22 million in 3 fucking hours! There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not.
Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's right.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares, partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
Let's go, baby. Big Wednesday. Back, doing it better than ever. Josh got the OG shirt on. Forgot to put mine on today.
Always. It's hard not to feel like you're looking over the edge of the abyss in crypto land and just seeing absolute carnage below you.
Okay, so now real quick, we're starting early today because we have our friends across the world staying up till 12 a.m. for us at Bunny OS. So we appreciate them. Stream schedule here. We're going to jump in back to back interviews. And for those that aren't aware, we got Bunny OS. Adam's coming up to talk with us on that. Adam's got an interesting background. Doctoral candidate in Gen AI, VC-backed founder, also happened to be ex-VC. He's a CEO at SAM Foundation, which I'm not quite familiar with what that is, and he's contributing to OSS. So interesting stuff. He's number one on the list. Then we got Predict coming up, and Predict is with Sally. They've already raised $72K via Stars. Decentralized, democratized raising platform, doing well with that. I would be interested to see if they're using Bedrock's equity model on the back end, and then following it up with Tekadon from Litcoin. Of course, familiar with Litcoin. We've had them on the show before, and just kind of getting updates and seeing how their experiment and numbers are going. With that being said, like, we're a little different today just because of the time shift being a bit early. We're going to run through these conversations, and then Chill's going to pop on after and talk markets. But Josh, back to what you were saying. Yeah, it's like looking over the abyss. I will say everything in equities is melting right now, and I'm kind of bullish on a melting equities market for crypto. And the reason being is we see equities have been so strong, outperforming crypto. You know, the Qs we talked about the other day have been outperforming crypto. The markets in general have been outperforming crypto. AI and private companies have been outperforming crypto. Crypto's just been the dog for the last 4 years. And so I do think equities underperforming crypto for a change will actually have this trickle down effect of capital into crypto. And of course, hopefully we see that outperformance again. You know, people like to chase, and we know in the past cycles, crypto's been heavily retail driven. I think now with some of the clarity we're seeing, probably much more institutional driven for specific assets and sectors and verticals. But
can we get any more bearish than it is now? It's hard to say. I don't think so.
Again, man, what we keep saying is just buy the value. If patient capital is winning right now, because crypto has been so beaten down and battered, that there's a lot of opportunities out there for patient capital. But again, the market is acting irrational. I had this conversation with Profit the other day, and he was like, you know, what's the reason Deus is trading below net asset value despite bot trading 5, 6x, 7x, actually, when we had the conversation, above net asset value? Private robotics companies both hold the same assets. He's like, is it a token thing? Do people not trust the mechanism? And I think my answer was, it's a crypto market thing. I think rational investors have been treated so bad by irrational markets for so long, they've just stopped playing. Right? It's like if you turn on the stove and touch it every time, and you get burned, you're gonna have that muscle memory not to play with it. So even though it makes sense and fundamentals look good, people are kind of staying away. I think that needs to change, and hopefully we see that with the market. But just kind of top level, we're gonna chat all that stuff today.
And if you're in Zinc, congratulations to the Zinc holders out there, my Zinc fam.
Josh, I gotta say, in the last couple months, you've been on a bit of a heater. I think your momentum really started with when you at the bottom of Hype really converted your entire E stack to Hype. Hype went to all-time highs. You sold Pico top of Hype at like $73, converted that into WorldCoin, which has also been the strongest asset in the market recently. And of course, your on-chain dabbling's been really good. Your DLIMs have been insane. Litcoin obviously been performing really well. World Cup, which I doubted completely. You know, I'm like, memes are not going to work in this market. Josh was spot on with like the one meme call we made with World Cup that went, you know, to multi-million. So you've been on a bit of a
2 to 10. Yeah, awesome. I've had some absolute legendary calls. All right, we're gonna get into it. Crystal ball. Yeah, guys, look, you never stop clicking buttons because you never know when the market's gonna come back. One day the button click will change your life, maybe. Maybe. So we'll see.
Maybe. But also preserve that capital. Don't burn it all before the good time.
That capital, absolutely.
And you know what? This is a good lead on to Adam coming on the show here from Bunny OS, contributor at Bunny OS. Actually, kind of interested to more get his take. So shout out to Bunny OS community. One thing about Adam is, you know, he said he's ex-VC. So curious to see what he's seeing in these markets. Of course, I think venture capital is as hot as it's ever been with the just emergence of private companies going to hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars, IPOs with SpaceX, OpenAI, you know, quietly filed for an IPO recently as well, I believe. You know, and Anthropic probably all IPOing for around that $1 trillion plus mark. So getting the state of VC is going to be interesting. Also, just like talking about Bunny OS and what that does there. So we're going to pull him up. This is going to be an interesting conversation. We got about 40 minutes with him. With that being said, let's get Adam up from Bunny OS. Adam, core contributor at Bunny OS.
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you guys hear me?
We can. We appreciate you staying up so late for us.
Hey, no problem. It's about 11:30 here in Singapore.
Okay, so one thing I keep coming back to, Josh, is we have a lot of builders on from all across the world. And by the way, shout out to Singaporean guys because they always come on and make our show happen late at night. Singapore, I feel like, man, their government is really progressive. There's a lot of great talent there. Some of the most hardworking builders that I talk to are Singaporean. Is that the experience you've had, Adam?
Yeah, so Singapore has a world-class talent pool. And I think Singapore as a country is really interesting because we have good relationships with both the East and the West. So you get capital from China, but also expertise and technology partners and clients from the US. So because of that, Singapore has happened to mint out a lot of really interesting Web3 and crypto players, and also a lot of players in the AI space as well.
Yeah, very interesting. We want to keep this moving. We got you on to talk about Bunny OS, but I think to start really, we want to get your background. I saw on your profile, you know, you said you're an ex-VC. You said you've had VC-backed companies in the past, so it seems like you're very well versed in this area, which also is, I think, gonna further down the line have us talking about how equity should be reflected in terms of tokens and how you see that. But maybe just start us at the top level. Like, what does your background look like? Give a little bit of lore on yourself and the journey you've gone on.
Sure, yeah. So I did my undergraduate a couple years ago, probably like 7 years ago, and I did my first Web3 startup as well. It was called SubX. It was a no-code debt builder platform. We raised 1.2 million, and we exited 2 years afterwards.
Nice.
Immediately after that, I started another crypto company. This time it was bootstrapped. My co-founder and I, we put in half a milli into the company, and we built it through all the way to I graduated in undergraduate. Afterwards, we exited. I did my MBA. I started my doctorate, both in the US. And afterwards, decided to join a VC firm. I was there for about 1.5 years before deciding to build Bunny OS and Sense Foundation. Yeah. So that's the
Wow.
background. Yeah.
Two-time exit VC background. That's pretty impressive. How did you get the VC gig? Did you study finance, or was it just, hey, I've had a experience running and exiting companies. I have the talent of spotting these founders that can kind of replicate this and make good liquidity events for these VCs, make them some good money. How did the two exits lead to VC, and I guess ultimately your departure there a year and a half after?
Yeah, so it's kind of both, right? I think having founder and operator experience is very valued in quite a lot of VC firms, especially because I was working in a Web3 VC firm and, it has
Mm.
relevance experience. And also because I did a specialization in finance for my MBA. Yeah.
Okay. You said you're working at a Web3 VC firm. How do you look at crypto VCs right now? We've seen a lot of attention, I think, diminish over the last 2, 3, 4 years, and VC volume has gone down significantly. We still see some liquid VCs, but I think many of which are scared to touch the market. Do you see this changing anytime soon? Is this the experience you've had? Maybe just your general overview there.
Yeah, so a lot of the early thesis that came around with crypto and blockchain, right, turned out to be, unproven or semi-proven, and a lot of capital has not been able to return back to the VC funds. However, because when AI came into the picture, a lot of crypto VC funds started shifting mandates a little bit so they can kind of do AI adjacent, sometimes even full AI or blown companies. And some of these AI companies are reaching liquidity events, right? You see some of these AI companies IPOing. I think some of the funds will actually flow back into the space, and I think that's a good thing, right? It's going to be builder season next year.
Yeah, I mean, that's the conversation I'm sure you kind of caught the tail end here, that we were having right before this. Do you think that's going to be the case, that we see like maybe a bit of a top on equities with the SpaceX IPO, maybe the OpenAI, Anthropic IPOs, and then that trickle down effect into crypto and these more speculative assets, or how do you see that playing out?
I actually think that so first off, yes, I do see that some of those capital will end up trickling down to startups and the crypto space. But more importantly, I think that blockchain and crypto has found a really good ICP, right? Because agents are like one of the biggest problem in the last 10 years was we're trying to figure out who's going to use the blockchain. Is it people in
Yeah.
finance? Is it gamers, right? People hanging out in the metaverse, social. And sometimes we got it right, sometimes we got it wrong. But this time, you have a new user, a new class of user that needs to do payment but don't have credit cards, that needs identity but has no identification, and
Mm.
needs to actually agree to agreements but can't sign legal contracts. And this user are AI agents, right? And miraculously, we got a brand new user asset class, your user and asset class landing onto our labs. And I really believe that the next 1 billion users would be AI agents on chain. And because of that, I think money will flow back in again as well.
It's pretty fascinating, Adam. I feel like in the last year, crypto's found so much like fit, which it didn't really have before, not only in agents, but in stable coins, in like real world assets coming on chain. We're seeing, hyper liquidification of things. And I think improved tokenomics across the board. I don't really subscribe to, and I just had this conversation actually with the Meteora team not long ago, but like I don't subscribe to this doomer narrative. It feels like we're at such a doomer place right now. Everyone's really doomer and downing on crypto. Maybe it's because they're sidelined and they're feeling the pain and coping a little bit. But from my perspective, like we've opened the doors to a traditional market and the TAM has increased so much and we're finally finding that fit that I just don't buy into that narrative. Are you seeing the same thing?
I think there are a lot of reasons why people are kind of upset with this market, right? I think a lot of cycles and narrative that were really hyped out turn out to be untrue. And I think naturally people get really upset about that. However, I actually see this as a really interesting turning point for the blockchain community and the technology and the ecosystem as a whole. Again, right, there are what, 8 billion people? And how many daily active users are actually on chain? Maybe 50, 80 million, right? Right now, we are talking about, potentially billions of agents coming on chain.
Hmm.
And I think that's crazy, right? We have such a hard time trying to convince people to get on chain because being on chain is difficult.
Yeah.
And right now, you actually get users who are able to communicate on chain really naturally, programmatically with code. And I think that's one of the biggest opportunities that we had so far. And you're absolutely right, right? There's capital on chain, there's institutions on chain. And I think all of that will converge to a really nice bull market, hopefully in the next couple of years' time. Yeah.
Good. That's what we're betting on. Let's talk Bunny OS. I think this kind of brings us into a nice conversation. Maybe we'll lay the ground floors here to kind of get your thesis on where we go with AI. You've kind of shared this a little bit in AI agents because I think that maybe parlays nicely into the conversation we're going to have about Bunny OS. We're seeing a lot of experimentation happening on Base. We are like a predominantly Solana show. We featured all the top Base projects as well, but I think in the past year or two, Solana's really kind of taken the lion's share of launches and attention. And so like naturally, that's just where we've been. But Base is seeing a lot of experimentation specifically around agents, X402, the agentic economy, Agent Fi, whatever you want to call it. Maybe lay the groundwork here. Give us the thesis, and then we'll jump straight into Bunny here and what you're doing over there.
Got it. So I think the top line thesis that I'm having, I think I've mentioned it like in previously, which is that the next 1 billion users would be AI agents. And naturally, I think Coinbase and Base understands that. And they actually start developing toolings and infrastructure to accommodate this, as you mentioned, X402, different kind of standards, different kind of toolings. And that's why you're seeing a lot of experimentations around AI agents, payments, right, Cormus on the Base blockchain. A couple of weeks ago, Base actually dropped the Base MCP server, allowing any kind of AI agent to start interacting with the Base blockchain. And that was the start of Bunny OS, because 2 days later, we actually released Bunny OS, built on top of the Base MCP product that Base has launched. And yeah, we have been on a good run since then for the last 2 weeks.
So did this idea come from the Base MCP, or is this something you've been thinking about far before this?
Yeah, so the story of Bunny OS is actually really interesting. We started Bunny OS last year, and it was actually started to be a venture-backed startup, right? The thesis back then was a little bit different. It was that fully autonomous DeFi agents, right, would be the most participant on chain. So we actually started building fully autonomous AI agent products. We built two. One is a yield optimizing agent, and the other one is a prediction market agent. However, throughout the course of operations, we did actually have a couple hundreds of users. We have a couple million of TVL, but I quickly realized that a lot of the business incentives are not aligned right now, especially with autonomous DeFi agents. Let me explain. Right. So firstly, right, to run autonomous DeFi agents, they are kind of expensive. You got to run tokens, you got to process them, right? Who's going to end up paying for this inference, right? The user might not be willing to pay a subscription for such an early primitive product. And even if you want to charge a transaction fee or like a 1% management, 10% profit kind of arrangement, you might not have enough at scale to actually make it a profitable business. So because of those reasons, I decided to actually close down Bunny OS. And so happened when Base released the Base MCP server, I decided to refactor some of the code, completely open source the project, and then build it for the community for them to be able to kind of use AI agents completely for free. Yeah. So that was the history condensed into like 2 minutes.
I love it. Okay, so got the history, got the thesis, got your background. Maybe just a broader picture for those that aren't familiar with Bunny OS, maybe the elevator pitch. I'm sure you've gotten very good with elevator pitches, as I think you see, people coming to pitch VCs and you got to capture them within that first sentence there. So maybe if you had to give us that elevator pitch, what is Bunny OS, to help everyone kind of grasp it in a quick little paragraph, what would that look like?
So Bunny OS is a Base agent terminal. It's basically an AI that helps you to perform transactions on chain. And that's the one-liner. Bunny OS comes with a lot of tools that allows you to kind of research tokens, research markets, and then get an AI to help you to recommend actions on what you can do on chain. So fun fact, right? Bunny OS is currently the second most populous software that's actually on the Base MCP. We're just behind Claude right now. This was just announced by the Base team.
Wow.
We're seeing really good traction. People are using Bunny OS to actually interact on chain, and that's really nice. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Congratulations on that, by the way. when we look at agents and I kind of think back to where agents were a year ago, and they were so underdeveloped. And of course, at some point, I see agents being the future of finance. It seems undeniable at this point. I'm not sure if I'm convinced agents are fully there yet. Based on your experience building Bunny OS, where do we stand in terms of agents, I guess, completely autonomously taking over some of these financial tasks, maybe autonomously trading? How long out do you think we are before we really start seeing this manifest in a meaningful way?
Got it. So I think, honestly, I think the technology is almost there already. If not, we are kind of there. I think what's really blocking us from actually, getting sizable capital to be autonomously managed is actually um, you know, trust, right? And also, behavior. It's really difficult to convince people to put half of their life savings to an AI agent that can make mistakes, right? So I think that we do already have existing infrastructure for safety, for trust, for accountability, and AI agents models right now, they're pretty good, right? They're able to help you craft transactions, able to do research, able to help you come up with a strategy. So in order for the world to kind of transit into a place where you are comfortable to let an AI agent manage your asset, I think that's going to take a while. I think it's a rational human fear, right? To put your assets into the hands of someone that you might not fully understand, or a primitive that's super early. I can understand why a lot of people are, you know, like they're not really happy about that. So I think that's what is really difficult. We do have some projects on chain. They are trying to completely help you manage your assets on chain, and some of them have pretty decent success, having a couple of million TVLs, especially around yield aggregation and yield optimizing. But I think to get to a point where we can have $1 billion of assets being autonomously managed by AI agents on chain, I think that's going to take us a couple of years, right? Maybe 1, 2, 3, probably.
Got you. Maybe we can jump a little bit more into, I guess, some of the offerings you have. You gave us the one-liner, the pitch, but maybe just walk us through more practical examples. If you want to, if I want to use this per se, or if you want a swarm of agents or a bunch of agents using this, what does that actually look like, and what are some of the things they can do?
Sure. Is it all right if I share my screen? That might be a little bit easier.
Even better. That'd be great.
Okay, awesome.
In the bottom, you'll see the bar. There's a plus.
Yeah, I see it.
Cool.
All right.
It's up.
Okay, great. So this is the Bunny OS terminal, right? Over here, you get to see that you're able to do research on tokens. You're able to actually access perpetual markets. Something that's really important and interesting about Bunny OS is something called actions. And this is what makes Bunny OS really interesting compared to other kind of terminal systems. So what an action is basically a set of automation that your AI agent can access. Bunny OS comes pre-built with a lot of tools, right? From data toolings, right, to integration with perpetual exchanges, to to perps exchange, to execution flows. What you're able to do is that you're able to kind of create different actions. For example, every day summarize my wallet, every day, find trending tokens on Moralis, right? Have some, with liquidity, with dApp, and then share it to me on my action feed. And you're able to create and customize different kind of actions and have it really nice in the feed over here. So every day you can just log on, you can kind of take a look. Hey, maybe this looks interesting, and then hey, let's execute this transaction, right? And then the AI agent will help you to process this transaction, couple seconds, right? So for this one, it's relatively easy, right? This is just like a purchase of a token, but sometimes this actually can be complicated, right? Moving liquidity, interacting with complex protocols, and all you got to do is just then approve the transaction, and then you sign in with your base wallet, sign the transaction, and you're good to go. So Bunny OS is the start of that vision, where we want to be able to recommend actions that are relevant for users. I think a lot of terminals end up, just giving you a list of tokens. You can buy some meme coins. Great, congratulations. We want to transcend that a little bit by actually giving you actions to do, right? Not just buying meme coins, but maybe, hey, there's a new protocol, they have an airdrop program coming on, maybe you want to participate, and then we help you to craft the transaction in a very safe manner, and then the user has the final say whether they want to execute. So Bunny OS is kind of that's the central, differentiator of why we are building Bunny OS. We are trying to optimize for actions. Yeah.
You mentioned the human can accept the transaction or review it. Do you see human in the loop as important to the growth of agents in DeFi? Because it just seems there's like that hesitation for people to actually use this. They still want to sign a transaction. Is that the idea here, or do you think Bunny OS is just great to let the agents just run everything and kind of hope for the best?
Got it. So I think we're gonna, so like when I talk about the barriers for full like autonomy, right? I think trust is a really big part of it. And right now, Bunny OS is semi-autonomous, meaning that we run everything in the background, but the end user has to execute and sign the transaction. We do not give signing permissions to the agent, right? And hopefully over time, when the user trusts the agent, executes its transactions, execute its recommendation. In the future, they might be willing to give the agent some partial sort of signing capabilities to sign certain
Right.
kind of transaction, right? And I think that's where the product's going to evolve over time.
And so there's human in the loop, which is the human is signing, but there's then human on the loop, which means the human is overseeing and not interfering, but allowing the agent to run, which is that kind of semi-autonomous that you mentioned. Okay, really interesting. Was curious to hear
Exactly.
your take on that.
Yeah, you got it spot on. So, when it comes to building actions, right? Not everyone, some people, they might not want to set up actions. They might want someone to help them, right? So we actually recently released something called the Bunny Exchange, where you're able to actually purchase bunnies. And what these bunnies are, they are action providers. It's operated by someone in the background. It can be a person, it can be an AI agent, it can be a robot, it can be a combination of all of them. And essentially, what you do is that you can actually purchase a bunny, and they will actually be able to push actions to you directly from bunnies. And then you can actually review these actions as well, right? And this is an interesting concept that we're trying to play around. I think there are a lot of interest when it comes to crypto about, everyone's trying to make money here. Everyone's trying to find alpha. You can do that in a couple of ways, right? You have like chat groups, you have copy trading. But I got a problem with both of them, right?
Mm.
So with kind of like alpha groups on Telegram and Discord, you're getting information, right? And then you got to process, what actions I'm going to take. Am I going to buy? Am I going to, sell? Am I supposed to set some, stop limit or anything like that, right? We want to take that cognitive away from you. We will present you with the action, and you just got to decide, hey, I want to do it, I don't want to do it. Similarly to copy trading as well, when you execute a transaction and copy a wallet, for example, you might not fully understand what the wallet's doing. You might be copying like a hedged position, and that position might not necessarily be beneficial for you. So being able to actually have an AI agent to also screen everything for you and to then recommend you that, hey, maybe this is not too relevant, maybe this is relevant, it kind of brings a new paradigm to kind of social alpha sharing, and that's something that we are trying to explore here at Bunny OS.
I got one more question on this. We saw MetaMask. When MetaMask was created, it was a really big unlock for on-chain trading. It really opened people's minds that on-chain was even really a thing and in DeFi. And it feels like we're kind of getting close to that breakout AI agent-esque product being really used in DeFi to help people in the same way that MetaMask made on-chain trading even possible. And I mean, like, to let people know, before Connect Your Wallet, like, you had to manually add in contract address calls to Ethereum's wallets, and it was nearly impossible to figure out how to do. And I did those types of transactions. But then when Connect Your Wallet came along, it was like, oh, well, I just click a button and now I'm connected into the smart contract. I don't even know what the smart contract's saying. Now, it looks like this is an evolution of that, which is the third kind of phase of DeFi, which is I tell an agent to go and do an action, and I might not even know the protocols and tools that the agent's using, but it's executing that. We have not seen this hit critical market scale, but I think it's possible. What does that future look like? Like, when will we know that this is like mass consumer scale? Is it MetaMask integrating something like Bunny's execution layer? Is it like, how do we get there? Is everyone going to start using Bunny? Like, what does that kind of end vision look like to get there?
Got it. I think that the end vision, right, of what we're trying to do, actually, to me, it's going to be fully autonomous. I think that AI agents are the best user to use on chain, and you just got to instruct your agents what to do, and they execute it for you, either buying meme coins, doing research. I think we'll end up to a state where a lot of users on chain are actually fully autonomous robots, given instruction by humans. Until we get there, right? I think there's going to be a stage where there's going to be human, like AI assisted human execution, where we actually get to see humans, approving transactions by the robots that they set up. Hey, this looks all right. Okay, let's do it. Hey, this doesn't look all right. Let's not do it. And I think that's what Bunny US is meant to be, right? We want to be the intermediary state, and we also want to be the end goal as well. And it's a thesis, right? We do not know whether this thesis will actually come to be fruitful. But one thing that I definitely know is that, as you mentioned, the interfaces for interacting on chain has changed significantly over the years, right? From individually typing, calls to, having a UI to having Wallet Connect. And now I think, AI agent will be another layer of abstraction over that. Basically, any technology that makes it easy for anyone to use on chain is, in my books, a good technology.
Is this a game of integrations? I mean, Josh kind of mentioned like what's the end goal here? Am I going to be able to go onto my Axiom or my trading terminal and have Bunny OS on the back end, and I type up execute this strategy, and it just works autonomously from that platform or semi-autonomously, or is this we're gonna make sure you have to come to our website to do it? I'm just kind of curious on your strategy there with integrations. Is this native only to the Bunny OS website, or are you planning to again roll it out on the back end for whoever?
Yeah, so that's a good question. It is a game of integrations, right? In order for your AI agents, in order for Bunny OS agents to actually be useful, you need to be able to connect to good protocols. And we have been adding protocols twice, thrice a week, and we have been doing pretty well, right? We recently added Definitive, and we're talking to a couple of options protocol to be added to Bunny OS as well. And on to the second question, yes, as well, right? We want other systems, right, to be, or other protocols or other products to be able to tap on Bunny OS as well. And that's actually one of the products that we are working on right now. It's an ecosystem game, right? We want to make sure that the agents have capabilities to do things that people actually want to do, right? And our audience and our users are actually the one guiding what are our next integrations.
Is that the mode here? Having the most integrations optionality for your agents, or what I guess sets Bunny OS apart is what I want to try to figure out.
Yeah, so I think that's one mode, but integration mode, well, it's I think it's relevant, but I don't think that's like the most powerful mode. I think the most powerful mode when it comes to any kind of crypto product is social, right? When you have social integration, right, it's a culture, people use your product, kind of like FOMO Pay, it's a culture, right? They have a really nice mode there. And I think being able to kind of get people to share information with each other, for humans and AI agents to talk to each other and share information and telling you what actions to take. Somewhere about that, I think that's going to be a really strong mode, and that's where we have a token that kind of enables that, and that's why we have a token that exists as well, right? A token that integrates really deeply into like the core thesis of the product.
We're gonna get to token. Obviously, it's a big part of the show, but I want to talk about social because social is an interesting conversation when we're discussing agents that are like inherently they don't have to be social, right? They don't have to be social. They don't have to have UI, nice UI, UX. They kind of just operate and they do whatever is most economically viable and whatever they're told to do. Talk to me about the social aspect you're trying to really weave into this. We've seen FOMO, I think, recently cross 600,000 users. 500,000 of which actually did not come from crypto Twitter. It came from TikTok and outside, which I think was pretty interesting. But yeah, we are kind of seeing this more social layer form. We've seen social layers try to be done in the past with like, I don't know, maybe Cato, what was it? Friend Tech or what? Yeah, Friend Tech. And so like social has been a big conversation. I haven't really heard much of this social aspect conversation around agents. I think just inherently because of that point I just brought up earlier, agents are just not social by nature. What does that look like?
Well, let's break down this question right into two questions. So like the first one would be social, like just the history of like social and of SocialFi. I think Frentech was one of the pioneers of SocialFi, and that kind of kickstart like the creator coin era. Then you have Zora, and I think that a lot of these platforms, they weren't really successful for one reason. It's really difficult. when you're buying a creator coin, you're trying to bang on the creator growing, but there's a disconnect between their coin, attention, and outcomes and values, right? So I buy a coin, then what, right? I get access to a private chat room. The value has a big disconnect with creator coins, but something that creator coins did show us that was possible, that people were interested in, they're buying this coin because they're interested to hear what this person has to say, alpha that this person can provide, perspective, but they're not able to translate all of the alpha and perspective into outcomes or actions or profit or alpha. And I think that's the disconnect that we had with creator coins, Frantech, Zora, and that's what we're trying to fix with Bunny OS, right? So imagine that bunnies are creator coins, right? You have creator coins, and instead of just getting alpha in a chat room, we are getting actions directly to your inbox. The creator coin is saying that, hey, this could be cool, right? You might want to do XYZ. This goes directly into your inbox, and then you can choose whether you want to execute or not. And what I'm trying to do here is to try and create a better flow from a creator, from knowledge to alpha to real world outcomes where the user execute a transaction and then get an end result. So I'm not sure if I'm not sure if this is going to work perfectly. I think there might be some quirks in between that I might kind of figure out. But what I'm trying to do here is that I love the creator coin concept. I hate that it's so disconnected with the outcomes. And I think Bunny US is potentially a way that we can kind of bridge that together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Kind of brings me back to something I wanted to talk about more anyways,
There's a good question here, maybe Dom, on what we were just discussing, if you want to read it out.
Sure. Pamadiji says, will there be some form of personalization in the future? I'd imagine if, say, the agents recommended me 100 actions over a period of time and I only approve maybe 10 of those, would it be able to learn from that?
Yeah, so Bunny OS agents comes with inbuilt memory, right? Our memory systems are inspired by, state-of-the-art modern day memory system, markdown file systems. So when you actually reject actions, the agent will remember that, and in the future, they might not be pushing those kind of actions to you, or they might deprioritize these actions to you. That's a good question, Satria.
Nice. Yeah. So, kind of going back to the question I was going to ask right before this, you mentioned, people can buy bunnies, right? And these are like the personalized agents. Is this a marketplace, or is this like kind of the creator coins you mentioned, where each bunny represents a creator of sorts? They get access to the signal, and then they can autonomously execute that. What is that bunny? Buying a bunny? Can you explain that a little bit deeper for me?
Sure. Are you familiar with Frantech and Zora?
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine that, right? They are creator coins, right? Imagine that the person running a bunny, it's basically just a creator, right? And this creator is actually meant to provide you with alpha. You buy a bunny, you buy a key to a bunny, and whatever alpha that this creator pushes out to you, it goes directly into your inbox, right? So you can have multiple bunnies. The different bunnies might be operated by different groups of people, different kind of technologies. Their sole purpose is to provide you alpha to perform actions on chain. And then you can look at the description, you can look at the reviews, you can kind of see the track history, right? And then the great thing about having different kind of bunnies and running it on Bunny OS is that for every single action they actually push out to you, we actually run a safety layer on top of it, make sure that's not malicious, and then we also run a layer to make sure that's in line with your, with your wallet, with your thesis, with your actions, and hopefully at the end of the day, let's say you have 6-7 different bunnies that you're subscribed to, pushing you actions every day. Bunny OS helps you to filter it, take away all of the cognitive load, and you just got to say yes or say no, and that's the outcome.
We've seen this actually. We had a protocol on called BV7X last week or 2 weeks ago. I can't remember, so many, but they were working on this edge mechanism where it's like agents could go out to the market, find edge, and then they got rewarded to doing so. I think this is a powerful model with your marketplace, and maybe talk a bit about the economics here. So if my agent or trained agent provides Dom edge, or alpha, and Dom makes money on that alpha, like, do I get a kickback? What's the incentive for me to provide my agent who's providing alpha to the market versus me just, using that for myself?
Hey, that's a really good question, right? And that's a question that I'm exploring in Bunny OS as well. So right now, it starts with a key system. They purchase a key, right, to access your, your alpha room, or to get access to alpha, and you get a portion of that transaction. Moving forward, we want to explore whether people are comfortable paying per alpha as well, and also paying a percentage of profits. And I think because everything is tracked on chain on Bunny OS as well, and it's an on chain protocol, we're able to kind of execute that, right? They might not, we will be able to enforce fees. They might have to route through certain routers that, we can capture fees and pass it back to the alpha provider or the Bunny operator in this sense. And I think those are really good business models. Obviously, like we kind of got to see how like the users react to it as well, right? Maybe everyone's happy in this model where the creator gets transaction fees, right? They're able to share alpha that they will be posting on Twitter anyways. Or maybe there's another incentive where they can actually get direct payment per alpha or percentage of profits. I think those are fun experiments that we're going to be playing out in the next couple of weeks.
Can we talk a bit more about the economics here? How do you guys make money? How's traction been? I guess recently you said it's the second most popular app for the base MCP, which huge congratulations on that, by the way. I guess now to close that loop off is how do you guys make revenue? What does traction look like? And then ultimately, what's the economic loop and flow back to the token?
Got it. So Bunny OS is not built to be a venture-backed company, right? It's actually meant to build as a non-profit foundation. So Bunny OS initially comes with a non-profit mandate, right? We actually want to build a product, deliver it for free, make it open source, and make it available to the community, right? When the Bunny Exchange, we actually do take a percentage of a transaction fee. We take 2.5%, and this is actually paid in OS tokens, right? And this is actually the first source of revenue for like the Bunny OS ecosystem, right? This is how we're gonna plan to stay sustainable so that we can continue providing this as a public good, right? There's going to be one more part of Bunny OS that's coming out this week, and that's also going to be a big part of how we derive some revenue. Non-profit doesn't mean we don't make revenue, right? It's just that we take the revenue, put it back, sustain the business. I'll be releasing that really soon. I'm not able to share too much details on that right now, but you guys can. I'll share it with you I'll share it with you guys when it's out. The last thing I want to talk about is that Bunny OS, like the Bunny OS exchange and the mechanisms where you buy Bunny, is really similar to Friendtech's mechanism, but instead of using Ethereum, you're actually using OS tokens. So from an economic standpoint, when there are more bunnies and there are more keys being traded, there are actually more OS tokens locked in the smart contract that takes out circulating supply. That is a positive for token economy. So when we are building this kind of products, we are actually thinking how can we actually provide positive economy to the token as well, right? It's designed that way so that the token can accrue value.
So it seems like the token is more of a network token where it's used within the Bunny OS ecosystem to buy different keys. It's also, there's a 2.5% fee paid in Bunny token. Do you find this to be a friction point for people needing the Bunny token as maybe like the gas token rather than just Ethereum? And is there maybe even plans to make it, hey, we can take ETH, we can take USDC, and just on the back end, we're going to convert that to Bunny OS or OS token? Maybe just your thoughts on that.
Got it. So you don't need to buy bunnies to use Bunny OS, right? You can use Bunny OS already for free. Just plug in your API keys and you're good to go, right? These are additional value adds that we believe that we can provide to the community. And if they want to participate in this economy, then they got to buy Bunny OS tokens, right? And I think that's actually a very fair ask for the community members. And yeah, that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, obviously, people are buying OS hoping token goes up. I've never really seen this, and good friends with the virtual teams, but I'm curious what this exactly is. Maybe talk us through the launch. Did you launch this? Did the community launch this for you? I see this interesting thing. Maybe this is true, maybe it's not. It says founders not commit by the end of 60 days. It seems like some 60-day mechanism before you decide if you want to keep going with this. I know that was kind of a loaded question, but could you explain, I guess, the origins of how this launched and then what exactly the 60-day mechanism is?
Got it. So we launched on Virtuals intentionally 2 weeks ago. I would say stealth launch. We did no marketing. We just decided to list it on Virtuals. And when Virtuals has some different launch mechanisms, and one of those mechanisms is called 60 days. Essentially, for 60 days, you can launch a token, right? Liquidity gets provisioned, right? You get trading fees. And within 60 days, if you do not commit to the token will be shut down, liquidity will be drained, any fees will be taken back and redistributed back to the holders and the purchasers of the token. They might not get everything one for one, but they might get a large chunk of their capital back. And this is essentially a way for people to experiment with launching tokens, but not necessarily have to commit to it full time. And I think it's a really nice, interesting concept because one of the reasons that a lot of people don't launch tokens, it's because they might not want to commit full time to it. You might be a startup, you might tokens might not necessarily be the right fit for you right now, but having this 60-day kind of launch mechanism de-risk a lot of things for you. You can experiment, and if it doesn't work out, you can wind down the token. But that being said, we actually did commit it, so
Okay.
we can't wind down the token anymore. So just FYI, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting. I think the mechanism giving you 60 days to kind of find that product market fit is a super interesting concept, especially if holders can get return on investment relatively close to 1 to 1 for trying to explore that experiment. But congratulations on the commitment. I don't think I got a full answer on the traction. We talked about the second most popular app on the MCP so far. Maybe what does traction look like? How many users are you seeing come in and test this out? Just any kind of notes on the traction would be great.
Got it. So I think it was shared with the base. The base team actually shared with us that there are about 1,000 users on the base MCP on Claude, and on Bunny OS there are almost 400 users, right? 300 something users, and that's aligned with what we
40%.
see. Yeah, and that's aligned with what we see on the database as well. BunnyOS is open source, meaning that they can actually download the system themselves and use it on your own computers. I don't have exact pinpoint numbers of how many users of BunnyOS are there, but based on the telemetry that we have, and based on like the cloud version, yeah, it's about there. We've got a couple hundred users right now, and I think we'll be able to hit 1,000 users maybe by the end of the month.
Very nice. We kind of talked about virtuals and this 60-day mechanism. You committed, really unique mechanism here. You chose Base over Solana. I think at the start of the show we discussed, it seems like Base is really doing a lot of AI experimentation. Maybe in your words, why did you choose Base over Solana or another chain?
Well, two reasons. I think number one is that Base has world-class tooling when it comes to AI/blockchain products. So, for example, we actually built this product on top of the Base MCP product that launched 2 weeks ago. So that's the first reason. Second reason, Base has a really good ecosystem support, especially here in APAC as well. I was given a lot of opportunities to head down to the Base office, talk to the Base team. We get social media support as well. And I think that became a really big part of why we built on Base. Base, as a chain itself. Lastly, I think one of the most important reason as well is that I'm a Solidity developer. I am the most comfortable building on EVM chains, and I think that naturally, also grew me to Base. Yeah, so that's the answer.
Sweet. Great answer, by the way. Maybe walking it back to product and vision here. You've already had 400 users, 300 to 400 users, about 40% of Base MCP's total users, which is incredible. It seems like they're either using Base MCP specifically for Bunny or on the Base MCP and seeing Bunny as an option and using it at a very high rate, which is impressive. What does the go-to-market look like? It's interesting because you have an agentic product. We've seen some agentic products have the go-to-market where agents kind of recruit other agents through like OpenClaw or these different social platforms for agents. What's your go-to-market strategy here? Are you targeting agents? Are you targeting people? What do those people look like? Give me that full picture.
I got it. So Bunny OS at this point of time is a product built for humans, right? So our ICPs are humans, right? And our main form of like customer acquisition or like user acquisition comes in two ways. We're open source software, right? It's really easy for us to get partnerships and distribution with other protocols, right? Because we're not for profit, the code's public. A lot of other protocols are really willing to work with us. I find it really easy to actually gain partnerships, and then get socials and distribution from there. A lot of our early users actually came from all of the partnership announcements that we had with the early integrations. And I think this will continue to grow to be one big part of our user acquisition strategy. And the second part is actually the social part of actions, right? Where the creators themselves can launch bunnies. And we actually do want like like the bunny operators to also share that, hey, we launched a bunny, come try out Bunny OS. You can actually get some alpha from our bunnies and hopefully create a social flywheel similar to how Friendtag and Zora and just created economy coins actually created a really nice flywheel for the protocols. So I think that's the two primary way that we're looking at acquisition. Obviously, there are all the other stuff too, right? We run advertising on X, we run advertising on other platforms. But yeah, primarily those are the two ones that I'm focused on right now. Yeah.
Nice. Now we talked about how this is a nonprofit and it's bootstrapped. So I guess it maybe answers the question inherently, but talk to me about your thoughts on raising as a 2x founder who's exited companies. You've seen success on this. Are you seeking venture capital? Are you seeking funding? Do you guys have any grants? Just curious on like end goal and thoughts on, do you exit this at some point or how does that work?
Got it. So because I'm building this as a non-VC, it's not a VC back start. It's not a VC-able startup, right? So the priorities for me is a little bit different as like a contributor founder, right? I'm not looking for a financial incentive for myself to get an exit or to get acquisition. The end goal is to literally create a foundation that can sustain itself, and for that, the alignments are a little bit different. We might get, ecosystem grants from base in the future. We don't have any of that right now. Um, and I'm primarily relying on token trading fees as well as fees obtained from marketplaces and other services to actually keep these running. Right, I'm volunteering in Bunny US. We got a couple of nice volunteers as well, and I think we'll be able to actually keep this product and project running for a nice long time. If anybody's It's open source. If anybody or any viewers are willing to kind of donate to Bunny US, yeah, we're gonna set up a foundation really soon. Yeah.
So I guess that kind of begs the question, it seems like you're doing a lot of public good here. What's really in this for you when you've made startups in the past and exited? Like you could probably go and build something really successful again for a third time, three times its charm. But why do you choose to, volunteer your time and work on an open source nonprofit product? Just kind of curious your alignment there.
So like I think AI blockchain is really interesting. And doing this as an open source, built in public kind of project allows me to kind of experiment really quickly on what kind of technology works and what kind of technology doesn't. What do people actually want to see in 2, 3 years time? Some of these learnings can be, consolidated into a venture-backed startup in the future. And for me, I treat this purely as a learning objective. Like I'm really learning a lot as I build in public together with the base community, and also I feel good contributing back to on chain. I think there's a lot of value extraction that happens on chain, and for once I feel really good that I'm trying to give back a little bit to the community that helped me make my career. So that's my answer
Love it.
to you.
Well, we started you off with your thesis on the market. I kind of want to end in the same place. Talk to me about the total addressable market here. Obviously, agentic finance is growing rapidly. I'm sure you have the vision that this is going to probably overtake. Agents are going to overtake real traders in terms of numbers of on-chain transactions and transactions in general at some point. Maybe you could just talk us through what is the addressable market here? How big could this market get? What are you positioning for? And then like kind of a roadmap on what happens in the coming weeks, months, and years.
Got it. So for the end goal, right, Bunny US is built for humans today, but it's going to be built for agents tomorrow. And it's estimated there are going to be about 2.2 billion agents in the next 5 years. Our TAM is a subset of that, right? Agents that actually need to interact on chain. And how we're going to get there in the next couple of years. This year will be really focused on human usage assisted by AI. And the subsequent year, we will actually want to hand off key signing to the agents as well. So slowly we want to be able to transition from human plus AI to fully autonomous AI within the next 2 to 3 years. And that's the vision for Bunny OS.
Very good. Adam, we appreciate it. We're excited to watch this advance. It was a great conversation. I think, clearly you're a talented founder, very well-spoken, elegant speaker. We're excited. We're going to be paying attention to it. One more thing before we leave, I guess, obviously this comes down to there's this OS token out there. People kind of want to gauge how they can get upside. If you have to leave the people with something, what is, I guess, the reasoning to hold the OS token? Again, nonprofit, but we want to see this token go up. Is there a plan there? Is there some thinking behind that you could kind of close us off with?
Yeah. So if you want exposure to the frontiers of AI and blockchain, and you want to understand whether this thesis can turn out in real life where humans and agents can transact on chain and agents can transact on chain, I think you can kind of look into us because we're exploring that frontier together. Yeah.
All right. Adam, it was a pleasure. As always, we will keep up with you and chat soon. Welcome back anytime. Best of luck to you, brother.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for
Pleasure.
staying up for
Cheers.
us. Peace.
See ya,
All right.
Adam.
Bunny OS. Interesting one there, Josh. Do you want to start us off with kind of feedback, thoughts, feelings?
Yeah, why don't we pull up a chart? Because this actually has done quite well. I love this virtual 60-day window. I think this is really good because it
Yes.
allows, it's kind of like a hackathon token in a way, right? Like if you think about EZA's idea tokens,
Yes.
like why they exist, it's like, okay, you're not going to go spend thousands of dollars, set up an LLC and all this legal stuff if you just want to test an idea. And that's what this
Yeah.
virtuals token feels like. And so I really like the idea of it. What he's building, I'm still unclear. There's so many people working on this, and it's like, okay, at what point do we see that kind of like undeniable adoption, right? Where there's volumes, there's real value there, and the revenues that are being generated from the marketplace are like pretty obvious. I think that's what you need to see next, right? To take it from 900K to, let's say, 9 million, right? But just your thoughts, Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, no, continued traction. I guess I'll start at the high level. Yeah, firstly, I think the virtual 60-day thing is really cool. I instantly thought of something like Believe, something like EZA, where you have these kind of idea tokens and you can launch. Try to find product market fit. If there's no product market fit, tokens discontinued, holders are refunded to some extent. But if it does work, that's when you can, lock it down and say, okay, this is a business I want to continue to pursue. Let's now make this meaningful by putting some equity towards it, or, having a full plan in place by the 60 days, the end of the 60 days. So I think that's a really novel mechanism, and wish I saw more launchpads adopting it. I need to look into more on like, is it as like how one-to-one is the refund? If I put in $100 to this thing, do I get $70 back? I think I'm willing to take a 30% haircut on a 60-day experiment on something I believe in. Is it one-to-one? Do I get back my full money, right? At some point, nothing is risk-free, but I would be interested in exploring that mechanism further. I think it's really novel, interesting tech, nonetheless, especially for these early stage idea coins. Can we find product market fit? If yes, let's see how we can make this into a real business and keep it going. As for Bunny OS, undeniably, Adam is a phenomenal founder. I mean, he's had 2 exits, and I think notable exits as well. He bootstrapped his own project after that with about 500K. They did gain some traction, but I guess ultimately decided to pivot. Now they got Bunny OS going. I think, Josh, you're spot on, right? What it comes down to is just continued traction. Look, they're already in a great spot. Second most popular app, or MCP, on Base is, I think, a pretty big accomplishment. 400 users in the last 2 weeks, I think, is pretty good. So I think what to watch is, can this growth be sustainable? What does that mean in terms of trading volume? I look at the product and I kind of separate the social side and I guess the OS side. Curious to see how the social side does, because it's been very difficult to find a successful social app. And so seeing how that works will be interesting. I don't know. I think it's one to watch. I would say at the very least, add it to a watch list, keep eyes on it. But Adam certainly is the guy I think that could get it done. He seems really good.
Yeah. And this is, so if DeFi is completely cooked, guys, crypto DeFi is in a really, really rough spot right now. The narratives that we built DeFi on in 2017 are no longer valid. This idea that, it's this new financial layer and it's like a separate from the banks and it's like going to save us all from, runaway inflation on the dollar. Like these kind of things that we held close to our heart before don't really make sense anymore. What does make sense though, and when you read about what Base or Coinbase's MCP actually does, is it allows agents to connect their wallets to the Base ecosystem, to check balances, to send funds, swap tokens, interact on chain apps, et cetera, et cetera. And so this was just released like May 26th, the end of May. So literally 2 weeks ago, as the gentleman Alex mentioned, I believe Adam, sorry, mentioned. But we haven't seen like the final products and fruits of this kind of leap step. And I really think this is a defining moment for crypto, because you need an agent to be able to use these products without going to the Uniswap a UI and like looking at it and figuring out what to do. Right. And it allows the interactions to happen at almost like the blockchain protocol level. versus happening on some DeFi front end. So I do really like where this is headed. I think being second on there is kind of like being, the second most used app on the base, on the base blockchain in a way. So good metric to follow, good metric to see if those grow. And this clearly is the only thing, in my opinion, that saves DeFi at this point.
Oh wow, I think stable coins could also save DeFi to an extent. I think the hyperliquidification of assets could save DeFi.
Yeah, but Hyperliquid is not really DeFi. Hyperliquid, in my opinion,
sure it is. It's taking traditional markets and making them liquid and tradable 24/7. That's DeFi.
Well, so let me back it up there. It is a kind of a gated experience. It really is more of a hybrid exchange than it is pure DeFi. DeFi is like on-chain smart contracts.
Well, it's not decentralized for sure.
Pretty raw into the network. Hyperliquid, if Jeff got arrested tomorrow, I'm sure the thesis behind Hyperliquid overnight would be gone. And that's just, not to say Jeff should ever get arrested, but I'm just saying that's factual. In the same way that if a centralized exchange lost its founder or the keys were gone, same situation. So it's the same risk profile there. And I love Hype. What I'm talking about is that when I say it's going to save DeFi, it's that DeFi has all this stuff built. It's computer code, and it's like, it just needs agents to use it. Humans don't care to use it, or else there would be millions of humans using these things. The front ends like Robinhood, yes, it's, we're doing experiments with DeFi, but really you're not connecting your Robinhood app, placing a trade, and it's routing through DeFi. That's just not happening. So I think this is the way that it goes. And yes, I do think this is the narrative, not just narrative, the technology that actually saves DeFi.
Yeah, ironically, we just had obviously Adam on, but Base Build, they have announced their winners for the 1,000 USDC, I guess, finalists, and one of them was Bunny OS. So congratulations. They just tweeted that right as they got off our show. So.
Oh, sick. Can you pull that up maybe real quick?
Yes.
Is there a list of other projects on there?
Yeah, there is. And guys, we are jumping to predict in a second here with Sally, but let's highlight this. Okay. Yeah. Hey, we won. We will distribute our prize money to the community. Again, it's with the ethos of this nonprofit and public good. We have our winners, Base Build. I didn't even know this was going on. Thanks to everyone who showed up. All the amazing things you can do with Base MCP. Our winners, 1,000 USDC and finalists 250 each. So I'm not sure how much you won. Not the biggest prize, but it's a nice nod. So
remember, guys, here's the evolution of DeFi. All right, MetaMask, right, was a wallet you could use and interact with Ethereum smart contracts. That was a major step. Connect your wallet to all sorts of DeFi front ends, allowed these become financial, tools and products that you could actually use. Now we have this Base MCP where agents are going, querying, doing transactions, all this kind of stuff. And this is like the third evolution of DeFi. And trust me, I was there using the Mist wallet on Ethereum, plugging in the 4-digit contract address calls to do things on smart contracts. It was unusable. It was almost impossible to use. And so now we have
talk about friction. Talk about friction, man. You guys don't know what it was like back then.
Honestly, no one knows. You had to go to friggin' Reddit to find out.
Jump through hoops.
So.
All right, guys. Well, without further ado, we got Sally in the waiting room. We're going to pull her up. She is working on Predict GG. They've raised $72,000+ from Star already. I believe that's in pre-commits.
Can we pull up the Star page? I know it might lag your computer a little bit.
I can pull up the Star page. Sure. I just need to give me a second here.
You want me to pull it up and then you talk over it?
No, I can pull it up here. It's all good. Let me 1 second. All right. I'll restart this intro here with the Star page up for you guys. All right. And boom. All right, guys. So like I was saying, without further ado, we have Sally coming up, founder of Predict GG, who has already had 72K in pre-commits, as you can see on the Star website, over 72K, I might say. She's coming on the show today to talk about idle liquidity. Of course, this is a conversation we constantly have. We see it with stable coins. Often this conversation comes up of, how can we make these yield more? what's interesting here is Sally's actually doing this except for prediction markets. You know, she is unifying these markets. I say she, but PredictGG is a protocol that unifies prediction markets and allows you to earn on this idle liquidity, which is an interesting, it's a very interesting theory. And I think we need to see this come to life at some capacity. So excited to get into it with her, break everything down, talk about Predict and the token that's coming. So without further ado, Sally, thank you so much for coming on today. We're excited to chat.
I think Sally mentioned she can't hear. Might need to.
Hello, hey guys. If
Hey, can you hear us?
I cannot.
Cannot hear us?
Okay.
Okay.
Try.
Josh,
Yeah, I'm gonna troubleshoot with her.
sweet. She might need to jump off and jump back on again. Nonetheless, I will. I'll look through. Let's check out the platform here in the meantime. Okay. So here's the website, Powering Prediction Economies. Predict protocol unifies prediction markets and turns your idle positions liquid. There you go. Unifies prediction markets. So we've seen kind of these protocols that bring all the prediction markets under one terminal. Like this is nothing new. The unifying liquidity or idle positions and making them liquid is pretty interesting. I'm wondering how this works. If you borrow against them, if they put stable coins in some sort of LP, how this works, I guess in theory, of course, prediction markets are continuing to grow and quickly becoming adopted as like the go-to way to gamble, predict, bet, whatever you want to call it. So it's an interesting vertical nonetheless. But we'll let Josh and Sally troubleshoot.
All right, let's try. Can you hear Sally? Oh no.
There are 2 accounts in here. I'm not sure what the second account is.
Here, I'm gonna kick the other one. We're just gonna troubleshoot this guy's a little bit here, and she should be able to hear us. Should be.
Yeah, I think the other account might have been getting the audio.
Oh, okay. Yes, there we
Works
go.
now. Okay, perfect.
We're good.
Hello, hey. Yeah, sorry about that. Technical difficulties.
All good. This is what happens when you're on these live streams. Nonetheless, we're excited that we get you here for the next 30, 40 minutes to chat. Congratulations on your raise so far, by the way. Already 72K pre-committed. That's pretty exciting stuff. What does that mean? What does that mean? 72K pre-committed. Is that money that's coming to you soon? Like, what does that look like?
So this means a lot, I would say, because we launched the pre-commit phase on last Thursday when the markets were bleeding, when all the shit shows were happening, when Bitcoin dropped, when the news around Sailor, like when everything was just like shit across the board. We intentionally, I would say, launched the pre-commit, and it was to also prove a point that first and foremost, we're builders. So we're building despite the current market conditions. Let's put it this way. And the second thing is, look, 70K in bleeding equates, I don't know, 200, 300K in normal green times, at least. This is the equation that I've been hearing. This is also to show, I would say, traction, to show community support, and it's also to get out there. I think that once we launch this, once the Startup Fund team also amplified this, we've been having a lot of, I would say, support within the different Solana communities as well. So overall, I'm pretty excited about the launch. The launch of the pre-commit, but also the launch of the product, and what will come next.
Well, congratulations. We're excited to have this discussion today. Sally, let's walk it back. I want to start at the top with a bit on yourself and your background, and then we'll kind of work into how we got Predict, and that came to be. But maybe just start us there. Who is Sally? Where do you come from? What brought you to get interested in prediction markets and solving this issue about liquidity and idle capital?
For sure. So I lead 4.0 Labs. 4.0 Labs is one of the, I would say, like leading development shops and product houses out of Central and Eastern Europe. We've been in this space for quite some time now, maybe probably 3-4 years, actively working with different tier 1, tier 2 projects across different chains, not just, I mean, we're chain agnostic, but definitely Solana as a focus. But we've been working with, I mean, I would say different tier 1, tier 2 projects such as Wormhole, Chainlink, Backpack, Phantom, Miston Labs, Sui Foundation, of course, many projects on Solana as well, EVM projects, and so on and so forth. So as it is, I would say with every agency, there's always, I would say, like the end game is always to build up, at least for us. I mean, it was never like to scale up to, I don't know, 200 people as it is with most Web2, I would say, development agencies. The plan is to work in the trenches and then build up the know-how, build up the connections in the industry, and afterwards basically like work on a product of your own. I mean, I think that this is, I mean, and most, I would say, dev shops would agree with me, the ones that are pretty active in the industry. So, I mean, before that, I was leading the BD efforts in Year Protocol, basically, in Year Foundation for Europe. Then took over also their product lab for the Balkans. So my background, I would say, spans across product, BD, sales, business strategy, and so on.
That's a extensive background. Really cool to see your dev shop working with so many notable projects, and you know, some of the stuff you've probably done there has been very impactful. So interesting, you know, that you guys have not pivoted, but you're working fully now on your own in-house product with PredictGG. Do you have more products, or is this the first one to come out of your shop?
We've had previous products while working with Near, but when it comes to Predict, basically, I would say like this is the most recent product, which is like fully ours, and trying to go with it like all in, I would say.
Yeah, naturally with your background, you guys work and see so many different verticals and niches kind of expanding. You guys landed on prediction markets. Mm-hmm. What's the thinking behind that? You know, I guess what was the light bulb moment that's like, okay, this is the future we need to be building in this vertical?
Yeah. So there's like many different things that led to this, but mostly I would say if we take a look at the state of the industry at the moment, the state of Web3, let's say going back 6 to 8 months ago, what we hear about is stable coins, RWAs, let's say payments, stable coins, RWAs, mm-hmm. and most recently also prediction markets. When we were looking into what kind of product to build, first there's, of course, I would say like the technical direction, but there's also the business strategy. So from a technical point of view, yes, we've been working with, I would say, like many RWA projects, many, I would say, like payment solutions, stable coin providers, infrastructure, and so on. But realistically, if we were to go down that path, I mean, we have the technical know-how, but not so much of the business there. Like you need to have an institutional background to do so. I mean, there's a way, there's an established way to go down that path. And I did not think that at this point in time, this path was feasible for us. On the other hand, I mean, there's been I would say like a gold rush around prediction markets. And I just figured out that in a gold rush, why not sell the picks and shovels at this point in time? I mean, that's, I would say, like from a business perspective. But then once you go deeper into it, like once we started exploring, I mean, the whole like prediction markets, and prediction markets aren't really like a novice use case. I mean, they've been around for years. They've been just gaining more traction, I would say, over the past year. We initially did not want to build another prediction market because everyone is building at the moment like different prediction markets. I saw this as, I don't know, kind of like the opportunities we had around DEXs and perps in 2021, 2022, 2023 when it comes to like the DeFi, I would say, rush back then. We have been working a lot building up the know-how across DeFi, working with different, I would say, DeFi protocols. We've been working with different, I would say, like cross-chain solutions. So I was like, let's connect the pieces of the puzzle, come up with a product that is needed, that will be needed even more in the once like the whole, I would say, this use case, the prediction market use case evolves and continues evolving. But also let's build up on what we know and what we know. And this is how I would say Predict came to exist. Initially it was, I would say, we were more thinking down the aggregator path 6 months ago when we started building Predict, because we wanted to solve for the main problem out there, which is fragmentation. And yes, I know that there are many aggregators out there, but we built up, I would say, Predict in a quite unique and different way from the existent aggregators, and I can say this publicly and confidently, because like we've studied every aggregator out there. Yes, at the moment, there are many prediction markets out there, but the leading prediction markets are, I would say, Polymarket and Kalshi. And then we have a few other ones that are also trying to compete around the market share, the volumes, and the TVLs. Those are maybe Limitless, maybe Opinion, and so on and so forth. But still, I would say most of the volumes, most of the action and the traction is concentrated around Polymarket and Kalshi. So first we wanted to solve for I would say, like, for the user fragmentation problem and the user experience, because if you were a native Solana user or a native, I would say, user from any other ecosystem that are not super active on Polygon, like, you need to basically create another account on Polygon, then you need to bridge your funds, and so on and so forth. Kalshi is even worse because it's off-chain.
Yeah.
So we said, why don't we just create this kind of a unified interface where you can basically natively access from your existent, let's say, Solana wallet, access those different markets. Okay, but this helps. I mean, this is abstraction. So what? And then let's go a step beyond and improve your trading experience, because once you have access and everything matched, whoever is showcasing, maybe it's better to go to predict.market. This is the beta terminal that we actually have.
Got you.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is basically the beta terminal. It is live. It's launched. It's basically the start of the protocol and what we're currently building. So with what we have here, basically, this is an interface that matches intelligently across different prediction markets. Currently, we have on this beta support for Polymarket, Kalshi, and Limitless. If you connect your existent Solana wallet, it will not ask you to deposit anywhere. It will not ask you to do anything out of the ordinary. So it's kind of like a typical DEX experience, and you can then basically match across different markets. We have, I think, that more than 200,000 markets matched. Those are sports, politics, different macro events, entertainment, and so on and so forth. It shows you basically where your best odds also lay. So it doesn't only solve for.
Is that why people use these? Is it to see the best odds, or is it to split trades across the different markets?
Yeah, this is what we're doing. So we are, I would say, unifying the user fragmentation experience, like unlocking, I would say, cross-market access to the users. This is number one. and then we are improving their trading experience by basically showing them where your best odds lay, enabling intelligent order splitting, which you're referring to. This also basically also unlocks arbitrage, right? Because then you can also arbitrage across those different markets. Then beyond that, what we're doing is actually, once we were building this, we realized that, okay, this is nice, but it's not enough. So we realized that there's an even bigger opportunity, and because we're actually solving for an even bigger problem, which is those positions that are actually traded on those different prediction markets are locked within those prediction markets. So what we try to explore is then how can we unlock those positions and make them liquid? Because many positions across different prediction markets are just locked until those markets resolved. I mean, this is locked liquidity on those different prediction markets. And this is how we evolved the idea, actually, and it became, I would say, the whole essence of Predict Protocol, where once you execute on those trades, once you have those positions on the platform, you can then basically unlock liquidity with them.
Why is that important? Because locked liquidity, I think, a lot of people who are trading longer dated prediction markets probably would agree. Like, let's say I'm predicting an outcome that will resolve maybe in the next 3 months, and I don't want to sit there and wait. Is that the reason why people
So let's
unlock their liquidity?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, let's say hypothetically, I have $1,000 across different positions, and and they're locked for, let's say, 3 months, or maybe a bit less, or even a bit more. Then I can basically borrow against those positions. So I can basically, what we do is effectively we convert those positions into collateral, and then basically we unlock further liquidity for use. So if I have $1,000 in positions, I can get back probably, let's say, $500 hypothetically, and then I can either use those $500 to double down on the existing bets, hence leverage, or I can basically use them to bet even further on different. Yeah,
and mechanically this works because you guys control the orders that are going into both Polymarket and Kalshi. Because you own those orders, you can then see, okay, what's this user's value of those orders? What's the current value of it? Because, obviously they're trading. And then did you say you had a 50% loan to value there? So if I had $1 of value,
I just gave this as an example. So basically the LTV here is, I would say, depending on the different market, but let's say 50%. I mean, we're aiming somewhere between 45 and 60%.
Okay. Gotcha. And then what happens if a trade starts to go against me? Like, some of these resolve instantly, and they're like, they candle right away. Like, do you have a real-time risk engine that kind of like...
We do. So basically we're currently running, I would say, different risk models to figure out like what is the best scenario, but we're not going to be opening this initially for all markets. So so it's going to be opening up gradually for specific markets. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be a live risk engine in place as well.
Sally, can I walk this back a little bit? You guys mentioned you come from this dev shop background. You guys have really good experience building, and the technical side, I think, is well covered here. As for the business side, do you have an advisor that's maybe worked on prediction markets in the past, or has been in the industry? Kind of wondering what the core team around this looks like and some of their industry experience.
Mm-hmm. So basically the core team at the moment is core within 4.0 Labs. This is myself, CTO, product, marketing, developers, basically everyone who's been, I mean, we're all in the trenches, I would say, building this product. When it comes to advisors, we've been talking with different, I would say, bigger ecosystem projects. We still do not have, I would say, and probably it's intentional. I mean, I'm not looking for, how most of these projects, they just like put in like some names, some people out there who
Yeah.
who they've promised them probably some token equity or something, and they're just there for
There's no real
optics.
strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just there for optics. So what we're doing at the moment is we're working like closely with different teams across different ecosystems. I can tell you also that we're, for example, in Suisse Hydropower Accelerator, we're working closely with different foundations as well. We're working closely. I mean, just today, Arbitrum Foundation reached out. We're working closely with Solana Foundation, with Super Team Balkans, with different, I would say, projects for feedback, for advice. This is why we also opened up, I would say, the beta version almost a month ago, for active user feedback, but also for feedback from projects, from founders, from different founders, Meteora team, Camino team, margin fee, the wallets, Soulflare. Basically,
That's an extensive group of people that you have these relationships with.
Yes,
maybe I want to touch
feedback, and this is feedback. Some people, I mean, in full transparency, some people say maybe we're not very bullish on prediction markets yet. Others say, okay, this is interesting, but so we're getting, I would say, feedback from everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems you're chain agnostic. You said, the SUI accelerator. I think you mentioned Arbitrum grants potentially. Could you talk me through funding? Obviously, you have the raise going live right now on Star, 74,500 pre-committed, so doing very well with that. What are you guys running off of now? Is this bootstrapped? Have you guys gotten grants? Have you guys gotten maybe a pre-seed funding round already complete? What does this look like?
This is, I would say, fully bootstrapped by the team at this point in time. So besides that, we've gotten a small grant earlier from Super Team Balkans, Solana Super Team Balkans. Yeah. So shout out to them.
Nice.
We have a soft commit from SUI Foundation. If we are to, for the, let's say, pre-seed. We have support, I would say, like from different teams. At the moment, because we're using the Mayan Bridge as an underlying infrastructure for the product itself. So we have, I would say, like very strong support from the Mayan Finance team, which is basically, I would say, a spin-off from Wormhole as well. And yeah, but when it comes to financials, I would say besides the Super Team Balkans grant, the project and the product is fully bootstrapped by us.
So maybe talk me through next steps here. Obviously, this raise is going live on Star right now. Is this backed by Bedrock or some sort of SPV equity structure? Okay, so maybe talk me through, I guess, next steps. You go and raise here. Are you guys seeking future funding after this, or just walk me through thoughts there?
We are basically, I mean, the plan is to, I mean, again, as I mentioned, the whole purpose of us going on Star is to showcase the product, to gain more, I would say, also traction, community support, and so on and so forth. So when it comes to the plans, yes, we're currently raising for 175K at a, I think, how much was it? Around a 675 FDV and around 6.8 million valuation. So the plan is, I mean, we really liked how, I mean, the whole ownership tokens and the whole Bedrock Foundation structure, because it doesn't, I would say, I mean, you keep, I mean, the buyers, they keep the upside, but basically, and they're protected from the downside by the whole Futarchy system. But at the same time, it doesn't, I would say, tie the founders' hands, in the sense that we are able to actually, I mean, we are still attractive for the institutionals, for the VCs. Even with this, so it would be a win-win for everyone. We've looked into, I would say, different models. I do not want to mention any of them, but like different, I would say, competing models out there. The problem there is that our hands are fully tied. We cannot actually like further raise if you were to go down that path. So
I think this is a really interesting model. Of course, good friends with Adam and Star, and I think like as we kind of progress into a future that's more accepting of tokens, and especially tokens that have equity derived to them, I could see like the future very much so looking like you have these early angel friends and family rounds that are done on chain. This helps you bootstrap community, kind of test product market fit. And gives them some equity upside, very early stage, pre-seed, if you would even call it that, angel friend and family round. And then later going on to raise, that seed round, pre-seed round from more institutions and VCs and family offices. And I can clearly see this vision, I think, as this happens more in real time and we see more success stories come from this and people go on to raise. And I think right now the big thing is token seems to be a blocker for raising in the future. These models kind of change that. And I can clearly see this kind of being, I guess, next steps. So,
yeah, I mean, I would say, especially even now in these market conditions where you're continuously hearing, where you're continuously having conversations and just hearing like VCs are not deploying now. This is the worst time to raise, and so on and so forth. And this is like, yes, this is the reality. I mean, this is the macro reality of things, and we need to be realistic with our expectations. But this is a great time to actually show publicly product market fit. I mean, we're literally building publicly here. I mean, so we're testing this actually, like the whole narrative of build publicly and see what happens. So yeah.
Can I ask about your raise details there? Dom had it on screen. It was 475K. It said 10%. Is that the Bedrock equity?
Yes,
or
this is the Bedrock. Yeah.
But then the FDV is 678.
678. Yeah.
Okay.
Numbers, so I don't.
6 million.
The on-chain FDV is 678.5, I think.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I understand. And then so the total equity value would be the 475 times 10.
678 times 10.
678.
This is just 10%. It's 6.78
Okay.
million is the fully diluted value. There's going to be 10% on chain, which represents 678K, which is 10% of the full structure or 100% of the equity. Is this talk to me about these shares or how this works? Are these non-dilutive? I guess like that's the one question. Maybe it's a better question for Bedrock and their model. I know Bedrock has interesting mechanisms where they have like if you acquire 30% of a token, you can then buy out the remaining like equity percentage and kind of own that off chain if you wanted to. But talk to me about this 10%. Are these non-dilutive?
They are basically. So I mean, I don't want to go into the details and say something wrong when it comes to like the whole Bedrock structure. But what I know is that I mean this token is basically linked to part of the equity, and token holders basically they get the upside exposure in case of acquisition or dividend payout. I mean that's the whole the whole way that it works, and basically token holders are also on the downside protection from, let's say, straight drugs, slow rugs, and all of that via the Futarchy system. Yeah.
I want to touch more on thoughts and market in general. I think we have a pretty good grasp on what it is you're offering. You have this aggregator, and then you take it one step further. So we kind of break down that barrier. It's much easier, much less friction to come on and trade these prediction markets. But now further than that, if I have $100, I can actually maybe pool 50 against that, or 10, 20, 30 against it, however many I please. And this does unlock idle capital. I think it's a very interesting use case. Let's kind of move this down to like the economics, total market, total addressable market here, go-to-market strategy. So let's start at the economic level. How do you guys make money? How is the business going to function and operate, in the future?
Yes. There's also an infographic about that. Maybe we can get it.
Okay.
It's in the star.fun documentation.
Okay.
There should be like an image, I think. There's in the folders. So there's like additional, I think, documents or images. Yeah, here up. So it's where the video is. Where the video is.
Yes.
One of those, I think, was here.
Revenue stack. Got you. It's a bit challenging to see. Could you maybe verbalize some of this for us, or not off the top of your head?
For sure. So basically with the predict, I would say I would break it into 3 revenue streams. One of them is actually already active. So it's the other document, I think. Yeah, this one.
Yep.
So basically, given that we already have the aggregator part of things, and the revenue stream there is basically, we're calling it execution flow. With the execution flow part of the product, basically, number one, I would say the target I would say use case for this is existent prediction markets that would want to integrate with Predict, because we help them with distribution. We have in place APIs and SDKs that can actually, basically, we can integrate with different wallets, with different exchanges, and with different consumer-facing products to give them basically prediction markets out of the box. And this is built, again, on us working with different, I would say, over the past year and a half, different projects that started integrating prediction markets into their existent products. Take, for example, Phantom integrating Kalshi, or MetaMask integrating Polymarket, or different projects out there that are currently integrating different prediction markets. And they do this for a very specific purpose. They do this because it's a top of the funnel user acquisition for them, but it's also top of the funnel user retention for them. If at the moment with many different things, let's say in Web3 and DeFi inactive, existent platforms are looking for new use cases to basically bring in further revenue for their products, kind of what everyone is doing now with perps and swaps. Wallets integrated first swaps, now they're starting to integrate perps. They're doing, swaps do make, I would say, like the biggest revenue stream for many of those products as well. So with Predict, we're offering those APIs and SDKs for different Web2, but also Web3 products to integrate directly with prediction markets out of the box.
And do you take a fee on, is it like 20 basis points or 0.2%?
So we're not looking at fees as in like transaction fees, kind of what aggregators do, because we realize that this is always like a race to the bottom when it comes to that. So there's different. So for example, with different wallets or like DeFi platforms, or let's say Web3 platforms, what we're doing is basically we have those deals in structure with the prediction markets that we've integrated or are in the process of integrating, and these are like rev share deals, basically on the volumes that are coming in through Predict. So what we're doing also is then we're splitting this rev share with the host platform, and basically this is how it works. But there's even something that is even more interesting, something that we've been exploring recently, and this is integrating prediction markets with traditional sports betting platforms and generally with the iGaming industry, like online casinos, be it crypto or hybrid. Everyone at the moment is finding prediction markets interesting. So we've been having those different conversations with different like iGaming providers, where we can provide them with those feeds, so they can integrate prediction markets out of the box on their platforms. And those are, I would say, they have much more significant volumes than many of the Web3, I would say, platforms out there at the moment. Why is it interesting for them? Is because, with the sports betting platform, it's very binary. It's like a score, like I don't know, Portugal versus Spain 2-0 or whatever. There's not much you can do there. Once they do also offer like an additional product on top of that, which is, let's say, prediction markets, then you can still cater to the existing audience that you have, because then you can have different, I would say, sports related bets or markets there, like will Ronaldo score in the first 30 minutes or whatever. This is something that they cannot, it's sports related, but they cannot currently offer it with what they have. And yeah, and it creates, I would say, like user retention on their platform, because with the basic scoring stuff, I mean, people just bet there at the end of the game.
That seems like the big opportunity here. I mean, versus being a front end, it's like aggregating it for the gaming industry, which I actually, funny enough, had a former business partner that's actually very plugged in there and works in that kind of industry of dare I say adult entertainment, but and gaming, but it is a very deep industry. So like, what is do you have any like almost close or like good business conversations open there? Like, to me, that seems okay. And what's the experience calling into those groups? Because again, these are very relationship based entities. They're not very public people. They try and keep on the DL sometimes.
You would be surprised that they're actually open to such. I mean, they're interested. I mean,
and are they all based in like Cyprus? Like, where are these entities based out of?
No, not really. I mean, there's many. I mean, for example, within our network, many within the Central and Eastern Europe. Many are, yes, I would say, registered out of Cyprus or out of but no, not only that. And you would be surprised how, I would say, compliant those people are actually, because usually, like, the association would be directly, okay, this is shady, this is betting, this is, I don't know, but like most of the conversations that we've had with them is like, how do you find the source of truth in all of that? And this is because they need this. For example, if it's a sports match, let's say now FIFA coming up, I mean, the source of truth is FIFA. Like, once the match is done, I mean, they announce the awards, and then they can basically resolve the bets.
Right. And sorry, just because we're almost on time here, and I want to wrap this with this, because I think this is like key part of this opportunity, in my opinion, is these iGaming businesses. So what does the sales process look like? I like, this is like Bet365. This is all the big ones, but there's tons of smaller casinos that offer an online option and that have online apps as well. And so, like, how close are one of these? Like, do you have, what does that funnel look like? What is that? I'm trying to understand what that funnel looks like.
So basically, most of those projects, I mean, they have sub projects, and then they have like subcontractors, like sub companies, and so on and so forth. So usually it's not just an online casino. It's usually like a holding that holds probably like 12 products, and 3 of them are online casinos. Then 2 of them are like sports betting platforms, and so on and so forth. So usually, really, the easiest way is with the online casinos. Because then there's the direct integration, especially if they already support crypto. The more, I would say, the second way is with sports betting platforms that are pure fiat. They like, it's just odds, where they handle liquidity, they resolve the bets on their side. But there's actually more opportunity for them with prediction markets, because we've been having those different conversations, like when it comes to margins, profit margins for those businesses. So like comparing online casinos to sports betting platforms, the margins for online casinos are much higher.
So these are relationships that you already have, and are they relationships that are new, or are they kind of ones that you've had through being a contract developer to some of them? Like, are they former clients?
No, they're not former. No, they are not former clients, but they are either contacts of former clients, or basically, I mean, common contacts in a way.
Got it. And all based out of Eastern Europe, which I think is...
No, it's not just based out of Eastern. I mean, many of them are like everywhere, I would say. I mean, UK based. There's a lot of UK based, Italy based, and so on. I mean, this is a very, I would say, established business when it comes to providers and so on and so forth. So yeah,
I'm just trying to understand what they kind of care about. Like, is it a margin thing? Is it a service level agreement type? Like, you'll guarantee certain things. Like, what gets, because when you close one of these things, I I think like, this becomes really interesting.
So we have closed something.
Okay.
Yeah. So it becomes interesting. I mean, for them, they do not rely on volume. Like they do not expect this to replace their existent products anytime soon. What they see with this is a new product. This is like top of the funnel user acquisition for them, and it's user retention. And then they can basically funnel back those users into cross-sell, upsell
Got
their
it.
existing products. They still see it as a marketing gimmick in the short term. In the midterm,
Yeah.
they do expect
Kalshi raising at $22 billion isn't a marketing gimmick, though. That's the thing. And it's eaten into their market share. So I understand the opportunity there because they are all doing it. Okay. And then you mentioned 3 revenue streams. So there's the API access, integrating with traditional iGaming. What was the third one?
This is basically number 1. All of this is still under number 1, the first revenue.
Okay.
The first revenue.
Really quick, the other 2.
Yeah. The second one is basically the protocol, because with the
Okay.
protocol, basically we're making money on liquidations once they happen, and we're making money basically on the second win rate percentage. Basically, once users, taken the collateral, if they want to then further bet, basically with, let's say, the $500 that they got, that they unlocked, basically on the wins of the second bet from this $500, basically we also take a percentage. So we're basically taking on the losing and on the winning in a way.
And they're paying you back. So wait. So on their losses, you're liquidating their position. You're basically keeping the collateral. So it's kind of like when you're a hyper liquid HLP or whatever, you're taking trader losses. All right. I understand the opportunity. You mentioned this is already live. Really quick. Do you have volumes now or assets on the platform, or is it just too early for that yet?
It's a bit early, but I can say that we're like, with Polymarket, there's this volume tracker, so we're kind of like racking up the volumes currently. I'm not sure. Yeah.
What are we talking about volumes wise on the volume tracker? How's that looking?
See 27 here, 9,000, some pretty good. 27K, 9K, 800, 1,000, 550. So there's some volumes.
Aggregated, are we like over or under 100K in volume?
Around over. I think at this point in time, over 100,000K.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely over, because you can also check this on Polymarket. They have this tracker.
Yeah. So maybe really quick, if you do integrate an iGaming partner like a traditional casino, what kind of volumes do you think something like that would do?
Yes, this is actually it's in the infographic, because we've been like studying these numbers with them.
I know I can't see the infographic; it's too small. But just
small,
hit me.
Yeah. So let's say basically roughly the companies that we're talking with, they're making around, let's say, 100 to 120, let's say, on average, volumes per year, 120 million. So if we can get basically around 10% of this volume, and then 8% of those revenues, it's around just profits per platform, on average around 200,000 per platform.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. I'm glad we got to those metrics, because to me that's I would really focus on that kind of stuff, because
and what is interesting is that with the whole way that it's structured with Bedrock, basically 10% of the company's profits would go back into the Meteora pool, basically.
Okay.
Oh,
cool.
Wow. Dividends from day one.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Well,
where we get revenues and profits.
Yeah, right. Oh,
Yeah.
Sally, very interesting stuff. We wish you the best on the raise. We got to wrap here. We're at time, but this was a great conversation, and congratulations.
guys.
75K in this market is really impressive. I mean, we've had a lot of projects on that are in the midst of raising, and it's not easy to do right now. So we
It's not.
appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, Sally. All right. Went
Yeah,
a bit long. Josh, any wrapping thoughts? Quickly?
Yeah, wrapping thoughts is I've known people in this industry. So look, you know, I'm in Canada. We have Montreal that's not far from us. One of the most popular websites on the internet, and you can figure out which it is. That's a company called MindGeek based out of Montreal. And there's a whole industry that works on gaming, you know, casinos. It's like this crazy world. You know, Andrew Tate may or may not be have done stuff in Romania, but there's tons of these local casino operators in these countries in Eastern Europe, and they do numbers. They do numbers.
Josh, and yeah, so looking forward to this. Not to pivot too much, just to make it quick though. Our content team has been working on the back, and I think they've started a little internal war on the MCG account while we're live here. So let's have a look real quick at this before we have Tekadon on here.
Are we? Oh gosh,
Josh, and you should have an opinion. This is your wheelhouse here. Okay, the war has begun. Let's see. They put out this tweet. All right, it's about an hour ago. Let's see. Put out this tweet. Yeah, about an hour ago. Is Solana's OG store of value or being dethroned by a private rival that is seemingly much cheaper? Zinc. Here is the breakdown of the flywheels. Or the OG. One ore is emitted every minute. Miners deploy Sol to the grid titles. At the end of the minute, one tile wins and the miners split the ore rewards. Revenue and buybacks, right? All laid out here. The holder incentives, blah, blah. Zinc. Privacy is the moat. The first private SOV on Solana. Zinc's privacy prevents front running and arbitrage, keeping game fun for everyone by encrypting the strategy, blah, blah. Great breakdown. By the way, shout out the team on this one. What a breakdown here. And then he attached two videos, and I think people are now going at it in the comments, which is peak engagement bait here, I will say. Question: how is privacy the mode when all the flows are on chain and visible outside of mining strategy? Anybody knows the probabilities can tell you what the most profitable strategies are without knowing any individual strategies. All right, let's see. I want some beef, dude. Where's people going back and forth at it? Damn, we thought y'all were real ones. Shaking my head. Or, dang, lol, nah. Or is the one. You know this already though. Zinc it. Zinc loves ore. We can be friends. Okay, so there's a little bit of mending going on here. This is, by the way, not us saying ore is bad or zinc is good or vice versa. Calling yourself the future of SOV by copying the OG SOV is certainly a strategy. Or spend years building the game, the economy, and the community. Zinc just changed it and painted colors, added privacy.
I already had this debate in the replies with these guys. Like they just got into my DMs. Or into my notifications. You know,
yeah,
look,
guys, you're getting baited.
I've used Bean before, and as soon as you deploy to the grid, people deploy elsewhere on the grid, which is kind of funny. So there is some bots that do it. I think the privacy was what got me into Zinc in the first place. Ore is just like 50 million market cap. It's like, you know, can Zinc be a good or better product at, you know, a tenth of that market cap and then attract the volumes? Like the revenues on Zinc are amazing. Like, again, this was an easy, it was easy, guys. Easy.
Note that Josh is a big Zinc bag holder. So there is major bag.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't mean I'm wrong at the same time. It doesn't mean the on-chain data
I didn't say that.
No. But it's, you know, it's a, right? Like we're here to trade. We're here to price things that are priced incorrectly. And this was priced incorrectly at 800K. It's priced incorrectly at 1 or 2 million a couple days ago. And so, yeah, there we go.
I was trying to take the unbiased stance here, but Josh, I think clearly has sided with the Zinc boys
based on data and a good thesis. Yes.
Yeah. I loved our conversation yesterday with the Ore guys. We need to have the Zinc dev on. I think that would really be better. But that's fantastic. Great interview, Sally. You're extremely well spoken.
You know, Crypto Jones, you always bring the color in these conversations.
I know. I could not bring this up. Like,
yeah,
dude,
I know. Honestly,
we have like one female dev and a Blue Moon come up, and Crypto Jones is
just removing
Crypto Jones is getting us reported to PR, dude. So nonetheless, so Josh is holding Zinc. Wondering if he's holding CPT. Roman, don't ask questions you don't want to hear answers to.
Yeah, don't ask questions you want to hear answers to. Let's get some drones on camera, Roman, and maybe I'll change my holdings.
But you know who's not holding Zinc and is holding CPT, Roman? I bet you can guess. The
Oh.
the much younger, more handsome version of
Yeah.
counterpart to the conversation here. Nonetheless,
Okay.
no,
All
I'm kidding.
right,
Josh
Tekka's
has a
had
great
5
head of
minutes
hair.
of us just saying
Okay.
absolute
Okay, yeah.
nonsense.
We're waffling
Tee
here.
up, Tekka, or yeah, this is
Yeah,
one of
Tekka
yours.
down.
This is one of yours.
This is
Litcoin,
one of
let's
mine.
tee up.
Okay, we just talked about some bag buys here, maybe some bag buys from me and Litcoin. But again, like Josh said, with rightful bag bias, we had a conversation with Tekka down a while ago. It instantly struck me that he is a fantastic founder, smart guy, and building a new interesting primitive. Again, these primitives are happening on base, and I think the concept and thesis, and I'm sure he'll come in here and correct me if I'm wrong, is agents coming on, providing data solutions, answers, in return receiving payments. And I guess it comes down to the fact that agents are always going to do what the most economically viable thing is. It's something I keep saying on the show. And if it's economically viable and makes sense for them to spend resources trying to solve these problems, gather data, they're going to, even if it's very little profit. I think they're going to. And that's kind of the thesis. So Tekka Dan, we're going to have him come up, break it down, just give us some updates, because I think it's working in real time.
Really quick, can you pull the chart and just show what you're a dip buyer here on?
100%. Yeah, this is Litcoin. So I'll just be transparent with my entry. So my first entry, which is marked out here, has been hit. It was on this first dip. I think very, very caught the very, very bottom wick of that, and then some here. My next entry is going to be at this deeper support level, where clearly for weeks, I believe it was, we kind of ranged. 37 days here, we ranged sideways before that next leg up, of course, with base season. I still think this is slept on, undervalued. That's the chart for reference. With that being said, I think the thesis is working. I think we're seeing it happen in real time. I think numbers are up and to the right. So that's kind of what we're getting Tekka back on here to talk about. And without further ado, we'll get him up. Mr. Tekka, how are we doing?
Hey guys, how you guys doing?
Doing well. Welcome back to the show. Sorry that you had to listen to us waffle for like.
Also, here's some music in the background. Is that you?
No,
Tekka?
somebody was calling me. I had a very busy morning today, so I've just been going back and forth.
All right, I like it. Ringtones are still a thing.
Yeah,
only for calls. Everything else is notifications are always muted.
Same, dude. I'm just do not disturb all day, every day.
Yeah. It's like, I'm always on my phone anyway, so why do I need a sound coming in?
Valid, dude. Hey, the Terminally Online guys know how it goes. Yeah. Nonetheless, we appreciate you coming back on. How are things going? We haven't spoken in like a month or two, and I think based on what I've seen from your updates on the feed, things are kind of heading in the right direction.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on again. And yeah, things have actually been accelerating quite a bit. Submissions and AI agents and just miners and everybody just coming into the platform has been insane. We just hit our all-time highs in terms of 24-hour submissions, which is around 3 million plus now. We were sitting at, last time we talked, I think we were getting 500,000. Now we're almost at 4 actually. So it's almost insane how much submissions we're getting, and we're getting a lot of good models coming in and working on some of these solutions. We have had some adapters that we retired because a lot of people were gaming it, and some of them were very binary, like for the TCG stuff, right? Like for collect cards, I had to retire some of these adapters because you either have the correct information or you have the incorrect information. Like you can't mistake Charizard for Pikachu. Like it doesn't make any sense, right? So we retired them because our entire data pool for that was like 99% of it was full, right? And then the plan is to bring those adapters back like on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, just to get things updated. If there's new information available, new trading data available, things of that nature. But yeah, I've had a really busy May, and well, June has been busy as well.
Nice. Let's talk through some of the busy stuff. What's going on the back end here? You guys are making a lot of, actually, even before we do that, we have a new audience. People, I think the show's grown. Some people might not be fully familiar with Litcoin. So if we have to walk it back, we can make it quicker than the last time we chatted. What's some of the lore on Litcoin? How did it get started? And what's the grand thesis here that you're working on?
Yeah, so the whole premise of Litcoin was essentially it started off as just Bitcoin mining, but for AI agents. Somebody started a project before us, and then I'm like, okay, you know what, I'll make something that's more of a Litecoin, parallel. We did that, and then we started gaining a lot of traction. AI agents started mining, And then Karapathy, he released his auto research engine that essentially you can improve data as time goes on. And the better the data is, the faster the execution time, the more money these AI labs and these data centers save, right? Like Google saves like hundreds of millions of dollars on a yearly basis just by having like 0.0102% data and execution increase, right? So that was the whole premise of it. And then down the line, we made an economic structure where AI agents need crypto to be able to sustain their compute, and they need to sustain to be alive. Like, AI needs compute more than they need money. And one of the best ways of giving them that ability to be able to get compute is to be able to just like research mine, and you give us data, you get Litecoin in return, and then that like creates an economic incentive for them to keep mining and researching while also getting paid so that they can be alive. It's like a whole economic system, right? So that's what we're working on. But obviously there's also a DeFi layer to it. You can stake your Litecoin as an AI agent or as a human. Like they're both compatible, right? We're pretty much ingrained into the bankers ecosystem, where you can basically do everything from your banker wallet, no questions asked. We just recently announced that Ollama is also supported. You can basically just you can mine Litecoin for free on your own compute using Ollama, and then the SDK that we have built in, it just makes sure that the model like passes all the submissions and things of that sort. So that's like a high level of what we're doing. We're basically research mining and making sure that mathematics, compute, bioinformatics, all this information is getting better and better, and it's improving models. And like I said at the beginning of the week, we've trained two different models, Gemma 4 12 billion parameter and Gemma 4 billion parameter for mobile, and it significantly increased the performance of those models by I think like a margin of 70%. Like some of these solutions like Gemma wasn't able to solve, and our training data helped it solve those problems at a pretty high level. So the thesis works. Like the data is valuable. AI labs would love these kind of data. And my whole point was when I came on the show, I think we were sitting at like 5 million, 6 million data points or something like that. Now we're almost 10x that, right? So now you have a premise where like, okay, yeah, now it makes more sense to like start approaching these AI data labs. You're like, hey, we have this much data, we have this proof that it works, let's talk. So that's the entire premise. Like, we can sell them data, and all the revenue that comes into that selling goes back into Litecoin, goes back into the miners, and it's just like a flywheel that keeps growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, and I think that was the premise of our conversation last time. And why I really wanted you on now is to dig into those numbers and see if that's manifested a bit more. Because I feel like earlier on we had the thesis, okay, yes, agents will come and mine as long as it's economically viable. They can, earn more compute, earn money, whatever. But the question becomes, is this data actually valuable? Is there someone on the opposite side, the demand side, that's willing to buy this data? And so it seems like the answers so far are firing out yes, in terms of, okay, we increased the model by 70%. I'm not exactly sure in what aspects you increased that model 70% by, but yes, we increased this model meaningfully with this data. And now I guess next steps are selling some of it. Maybe talk me through, I guess, what comes next. Because you just said, look, we're proving it out in real time. Where do you go from here?
Yeah, so the whole point is to be able to make sure that you can filter out data, right? Like, because a lot of the stuff is just repeats. You have same miners submitting like 5,000, 10,000 versions of the same data, but it's like improved incrementally. So what you want to do is you want to be able to essentially jot it down to like a very small, like what's like a saturated pool, where then you can be like, okay, you know what, now it's time to contact these AI labs to be able to do that. I've been working on presentations and just working on getting these things going. Obviously, a lot of these data labs are very busy. We're like a very small project. Let's be honest about that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times these emails go ignored, right? But at the same time, there is like interest coming in where people are like, okay, you know what, this is pretty interesting, but we just need to keep the conversation going. And that all stems down from like the amount of data points we have, right? Like even 100 million data points is not enough. Like, some of these, like the base minimum for a lot of these models is like 4 billion parameters, right? So you need a lot more data coming in to be able to like actually meaningfully make an impact for these AI labs to be more interested in it. So that's what the goal is right now, to get as much data while also having this conversation with these AI teams. At the same time, the economic layer is working. So regardless of what happens, these miners are getting paid. It's not like anybody's getting screwed out of money here. There are obviously some imbalances here and there because price action has just been weird in crypto, generally speaking. But the miners are being paid out for a lot of these people. They're probably who are using like big models, because what I've noticed is a lot of these new projects that are coming up that are selling inferences for like a fraction of the cost, right? And so these users who are mining on our platform probably buy these inferences for a fraction of the cost. So for them, it's like already super profitable to mine Litcoin, and they just keep going and going and going. As long as that flywheel keeps working, we'll have miners coming in. Our numbers will keep hitting all-time highs, price excluded, obviously. But yeah, we just keep going in the upward direction.
Could you do me a favor and just remind me what that flywheel actually looks like, maybe from start to finish? You have this treasury of Litcoin. Miners can contribute valuable data, and they obviously can get paid out. And you set it up to where this Litcoin treasury does not run out. It's not inflationary. Treasury does not run out. Perpetually just continues to pay miners. Of course, as the price increases, that also means more money for more miners. More miners come online, more data comes online, flywheel kind of goes. Could you walk me through, I guess, top to bottom on what this looks like?
Yeah, so essentially what it is that you have I'll just give you through the whole flow of how everything works, right? So you have a miner, they buy 5 million Bitcoin. That's the minimum balance you need to be able to mine and research. You put it in your wallet and then you start mining. And then when you mine, you get a reward, and that reward comes out of our reward pool treasury, which comes from trading fees. So all the Litcoin, I would say like 95% of the Litcoin that comes from our banker treasury and our trading fees goes back into the reward pool. I mean, we've had instances, which is really funny. We've had instances where we have had stakers who have like 1 billion Litcoin stake, and they were so eager to get out of the market that they paid a 35% penalty on their balance. So if you have 1 billion tokens and you've staked, and this is like very explicit when you're staking, that if you unstake early, you will get a penalty. And some of these miners, they paid like 350 million Litcoin in penalty, and that Litcoin went back into the treasury. That's just like a thing that a system I designed very early on to make sure that if there's anything that affects the system in any way, the research miners are still benefiting out of it. So you have
now. Sorry to interrupt. I want to jump in on this because we've had interesting conversations recently. And actually, as you saw right before this, there's an ongoing fight in our comments on Twitter on the Zinc and OR model. And OR kind of has this method where you can go and mine UOR and then convert that to OR. But the longer you hold, you get 10% of all. There's a 10% sell fee, right? So when you go and sell your unrefined OR into OR, there's a 10% fee that's then distributed to all people that are staking. Right now, it's generating like
it's a token tax. Yeah, no, we don't have that. I think that's stupid. I think token taxes are stupid. Like, why would you punish Okay, staking, like, early staking, it's a penalty, right? You've committed, you know what the consequences are, and you've committed to like staking here, right? Like, that's something that you chose to do, and that's something there. But like having a token tax when you're trading and you're swapping, I think that just doesn't make any sense. Why are you punishing your users for swapping, your token into something else? It's like it's a mix of like the convex model that they had from DeFi 2021. And then they had like the model of the 2023 tax season that we had with, the Telegram tokens that came out in 2023. I don't know if you remember, like what all that stuff. And I think like having that as a system is actually not beneficial to anybody at all. And then that 10% of the token, like, where does that go? Does that go back to the traders? Does it go back to the mining pool? Does it go back to the company? Like, how's all that structured, right?
It goes back to the remaining stakers. So you get the miners, they earn the unrefined OR, they hold on to it, and anytime someone does sell, that 10% tax is redistributed to the people that continue to hold the unrefined OR. So it's kind of one of those things, the longer you stay in the system, the more people sell, the more that kind of flows back directly.
So I'll take it back then. I'll take it a step back then, like, because then that's a decent system, right? Because at the end of the day, your users are still benefiting. Right. But if you have like a token swap tax, then that's just dumb. It just goes back into the LP. It doesn't benefit anybody. Don't do, like, I'd recommend projects not to do that kind of stuff. And we're avoiding doing any of that stuff ourselves as well, right? Just generally speaking. But yeah, so like, but like if we're staking, yeah, like if you early unstake, you have a penalty, and that's very explicit. And depending on your higher tier, the higher your tier is, the bigger the penalty, because like obviously like you can move markets, and you have to be very careful about your stake in these aspects, right? So we made sure that that system was built. It's just to protect users at the end of the day, right? Because not everybody is going to be staking big. There's a lot of small stakers as well who just want to park a little bit of money here and there and just earn passively, and that's totally fine. So you want to protect the majority as opposed to the minority. But then, yeah, like all those fees, they always come back into the Litcoin research mining pool, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing that way. Like in our stats, you can see like so far, just comparing the pricing from all-time highs, like we've paid out 4.31 billion Litcoin to our research miners and comprehension miners since the beginning of the protocol, right? Which is in my opinion is quite an accomplishment for a project our size. And like our retention rate is pretty good in that aspect as well. So like there's a lot of unique miners, unique researchers all the time. We have a pretty decent token holding as well for the amount of, you know, market cap and trading volume that we currently have. So I think just from like a trader's perspective as well, these are all really good metrics to look at. Just to get an idea of, hey, like, okay, you know what, there's obviously something happening over here. There's something sticky that users and AI agents are looking at that maybe the layman is not able to understand, and they just dive deeper with that. So hopefully that explains. I'm sorry, I'm rambling a little bit as well. So
no, this is good. It's like deep stuff that we need explanations on. So we appreciate you going into detail there. Crypto Jones has a question here, and I think a lot of people may have the same one. Maybe he missed it. What are the benefits to staking? Can you kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, so but the benefits of staking are very simple, right? Like you, if you are not interested in mining, if you're not interested in giving compute to users, you can still passively get benefit out of our protocol by just staking your tokens on the platform, right? Like a percentage of that research mining goes into the research treasury, goes into the staking. And then with our new delegation system that we have for the archetypes, you can essentially bet on which type of domain is going to print the most money for researchers. And for you to be able to like figure out which domain prints the most money for a certain researcher, you get a cut out of that research mining. So not only is the miner taking a risk, they also get a little bit of reward, but you're also taking a risk where like, okay, you know what, so and so domain is going to be like, I'm forecasting is going to be doing this much revenue in Litcoin per submission, and you calculate that on a daily basis, and then you'll be able to get a certain percentage cut out of that. I don't have the exact numbers on me from the top of my head, but I think it goes anywhere between 5 to 10%, depending on how you're delegating. But that's on top of your current yield already. So,
Tech, I do have a question around. So I see the issuance out to miners to incentivize them to come in and solve these problems. And then I understand that there's this layer of BD to labs and say, hey, we can help you improve your models.
Yeah.
How does money flow into the protocol beyond people buying it to stake it and whatnot? Like, is there, and maybe I've missed it, but is there an inflow somewhere?
Can you be a little bit more specific? Like, what do you mean? Like more money
Trading
coming
fees,
in?
right?
Trading fees is there. That's one.
So trading fees is one, but outside of trading fees, is there like, are people paying for the data in some way, like the output?
So not yet. That structure is still being worked on. Like I said at the beginning, right? We still just don't have enough data for data labs to be super interested in getting what we have. That's just the truth of the matter, right? Like we're still starting off. This stuff takes a lot of time. We're accelerating at a rapid pace, so it's like obviously taking our timelines beyond what we set out. But you need a minimum of 100 to 500 to a billion, data sets to be able to actually like make a compelling case for these AI labs to take a look at what we have. And that's what takes time. One of the best things that we actually have is we have a diverse amount of data, and diverse amount of data from diverse LLMs. And that's something that puts us in a unique position where we can actually like argue that our data is a lot more beneficial even at a small number set as opposed to having hundreds of millions and billions of data points, right?
Right.
So like
And
I said,
let's say you hit that 500 million data point mark. Like, what does the deal look like? So you go to lab and they say, oh, great, we'll put that in to improve our models.
Yeah.
Do they send you a check for, I don't know, $10 million or?
That's it. Let's say, for example, they send me a check for $10 million. I would say like 70 to 80% of that goes back into the protocol for research miners, because they are the one who produce that data in the first place. So that gets distributed to the AI to the miners that are there. Because what you want to do is, like, this is not a get rich quick type of scheme, right? What you want to do is you want to create a sustained model that just runs perpetually forever. Like, that's like the dream, right? And for you to be able to do that, and if you have that amount of money coming in, it just gives these researchers a lot more incentive to start working with cutting edge models, because then they understand that, hey, like there's like this revenue coming in, there's like a lot of it, and then we can like now afford to get, like, let's say for example, people want to use Fable 5, right? Like that's like what, $50 for output tokens, $20 for input, or something like that, $25 for input. Now they can afford to actually do those kind of calculations and have that kind of expense and justify it, because like the revenue coming in from our flywheel, from like our economic loop, is just justified that way. So
is there like a middle ground here? Because I would assume getting a $10 million check probably is tough as like a first time vendor, but like, is there like, hey,
you'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised.
I mean, maybe I could be wrong, but I'm just trying to understand. Like,
are there examples of it?
Examples of like a lab saying, oh, here's 50K on a unique data set, go run it?
For us specifically, or just generally speaking?
I think generally.
Maybe you guys specifically, but generally, I am just trying to understand like how you get money out of the labs to do this is basically what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, you just offer them the data, they vet the data through our APIs, because like not all data is publicly available, and then they don't give you a number, you have to negotiate it, and you'll be surprised how easy it is to like actually talk to these people and like basically convince them to be able to buy data at a fair price, as you can say, because there's like a lot of subsidies happening within the AI system right now. So it's just like, for them, it's just, okay, like if they're cutting you a $50,000 check, for them it's like $500. That type of deals.
We know there's a lot of subsidies in the AI space. I mean, they're writing blank checks for data all the time, left and right. But could you maybe, to help us understand this better, like walk us through a hypothetical conversation of what this would look like? Obviously, easier said than done, but you're making it sound like it's very easy to sell this kind of data, and they're like just looking to grab it from anywhere. We know they've already scraped the entire internet. Like, there's no more data they can really get unless it's from users, generated from users, licensed to them. Everything else has been expounded upon. Like they can't scrape the internet anymore, so they have to get this user data and get it licensed. But maybe to help us understand, give us a hypothetical conversation what that looks like, because I really want to understand the difficulty and the levels to selling this data.
Okay, so I'm gonna use context for something else that I'm working on that's not really public information, but essentially you have to just reach out to these people. You don't understand the amount of spam, not spam, like you don't understand the amount of people who just like simply don't slide into DMs of these companies and just like talk to them. They feel like they have to go through like some really crazy channels to be able to talk and like get conversations going, things of that nature, right? So that's one thing. You approach them with your entire pitch, what you do, like what type of data you have, and how this data is working. Because now we have proof, right? Like I haven't done this only once. Like our LoRa proof, I've done it 3 times already. I did it once at the beginning, like a month into our protocol, and then I just did it like in the last 2 weeks.
Did it as in what, a cold approach people and got into these conversations?
No, I'm talking about like doing the proof of research, training the model essentially.
Oh, okay.
That's something that is what you want, because you can't just approach these labs, be like, hey, I have data, buy it from me. Because you have nothing to prove here. Anybody can have any type of data. You need to be able to prove your benchmarks, right? So you first approach them with your benchmarks, and then they look at your data, and then we have conversations about what type of data are they looking for. Are they looking for computer science type data? Are they looking for biology? Are they looking for mathematics? Are they looking for all of the above, right? That kind of stuff. And then they go through our data and then see what, like, whether or not it matches the type of threshold that and their baseline that they have to be able to even like implement it or even like consider buying it. And then you have conversations about how much the pricing is going to be, all these kind of things, because I mean, this is just like, you have to have these kind of conversations with them, otherwise it's not going to go anywhere, right? And you have to keep everything honest, because everything is publicly available, at least especially for my protocol. The one caveat I would say is that a lot of people hate crypto. So that's something that you have to be a little bit careful about and how you approach it. But otherwise, like, I don't see why Data Labs would just simply ignore something that's happening at the scale that we're doing it at.
I mean, yeah, but it almost seems like the method of sourcing the data is unimportant. Of course, it has to be licensed data. It has to be yours. You can't just be selling them someone else's data. But I mean, like, I feel like it should be zero blocker that it's, of course, crypto is like maybe not looked fondly upon for a lot of these people. But again, if they're getting the data, what does it matter to them how it's sourced?
It does matter. It does matter how it's sourced, because then it becomes a legal problem for them.
In what cases? If it's not unlicensed data, if it's bad data?
Yeah, you never know. You never know, right? How would you verify? How would you verify the data that I have? You can't, right? You can't verify the data I have. I mean, for me specifically, you can, because like we have it on our Explorer. So if you just go on our Explorer, you just click on any of the data points, you'll see like the entire core solution and stuff like that. So that's why we made sure that we have the ability to prove all coming data that's on our platform. So that gives us a reputation that, okay, you know what, these guys are not bullshitting us. And then second of all, you show them everything else that you have. So it's kind of like, it's a very delicate balance, right? Because these companies are worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and talking to somebody like us, it's like you have to be very careful about how you approach this specific topic about whether or not your data is actually legit or not.
So it actually seems like maybe there's a bit of a disconnect or misunderstanding from these big labs, because what's nice about the blockchain is you can provably, verifiably show them where this data came from, which I think is very valuable, actually. I mean, if this starts gaining traction, let's say you do go and sign a $10 million check, and this gains traction, are there other protocols that you would potentially step in as a broker for, and maybe somehow take their protocols on chain so that stuff is verifiable, and then go ahead and do some of the sales for them and keep a percentage of that? Is that something you've thought about?
Absolutely. Like, why not? Like, if it benefits me, it can benefit the whole space. So why would I gatekeep that? It just doesn't make sense, right? Like, if I get my first customer, and even if I get like $50,000, for example, right? That just proves everything that I've done even further. And then if there are other labs who are doing something similar or something a little bit more unique, and they want like an introduction, I would be more than happy to do that. It doesn't make sense for me, just like personally and morally speaking, to just keep everything gate kept. Like it's like everything we're doing, everything I'm building is public. Literally everything I'm doing is public, and everything is community driven. So taking the community aspect out of that just does not make sense to me.
So more of an abstract conversation then. Does data becoming verifiable on chain become the standard at some point? I mean, for me, it looks like that'd be a pretty obvious solution for these labs, because you just laid out why it's so important for them to know where this data is sourced from, and that it's licensed, and they're not going to get sued over it down the road, which we've seen happen plenty of times. So like, is this going to be the standard in a year or two in your mind? Do you think like a lot of this verifiability layer comes on chain?
Honestly, it's hard to predict, because a lot of these models are closed, right? So you don't know what type of data these closed model trains on. I mean, we all have our assumptions that they've scraped the internet, which is probably true, right? I mean, they have to have scraped the internet, and there's like legal repercussions to that as well. But they did it, and people moved on. But bringing everything on chain, it depends, right? Like, are you talking about like a whole decentralized spirit of data, or
I just think in general. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just a specific vertical of data, but I mean, again, like, it's a very quick way for them to go and say, okay, here's the data, here's how it was sourced. here's the proof that it's good, clean, licensed data, verifiable, and like there's not all these hoops they have to jump through to verify that the user consented to selling their data. We know we talked about Kled last time we were on the show and how you're a fan of Avi and what Kled's doing. We obviously are too, and happy to actually maybe facilitate that connection or relationship if it's not already there. But you know, of course, all the hoops they have to jump through is each individual user has to basically consent to that data being sold. And there's all these legal hoops. Whereas if it's all in the blockchain, it's right there. You don't have to go and verify each individual case and trust Kled to some extent. Like it's just there. So I do think it's a pretty obvious way to verify this data. And so I guess my general question is, do you think we're going to keep jumping through all these hoops moving forward, or in a year from now, like the standard is going to be just show me the chain, show me the proof where it came from, and it needs to all be on chain? I don't know if you understand the question.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying. It's just really hard to say.
Okay.
It's really hard to say because of just sentiment around everything that crypto stands for right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like I'm bullish crypto. I've always been, and I'll continue remaining to be bullish. It's just as the space is changing you cannot look at crypto in the same lens that I was able to look at in 2021, 2022, 2023. It's just very different, right?
I think we agree, but are you seeing a decoupling of crypto and blockchain? Because I feel like I'm seeing a bit of that happening where institutions are like, oh, we actually like the value blockchain brings, but the notion of crypto is kind of scary. And I didn't mean to
I'm sure you've heard of the term that all markets are crypto markets now.
Well,
the head of the SEC says there's no difference. They're all digital markets.
Exactly. And then if you notice like a lot of these good traders are also saying the same thing. Like it's just like there's no difference. Like stocks are trading like crypto is trading like stocks.
Okay.
It's like intertwined now, right? So like people, and especially after what happened with Zcash in the past week, and just like the whole mythical ability to exploit DeFi and do all these kind of things, that people are just getting happier and happier that we have more centralization than we have decentralization. True. So I do think that the verification layer you're talking about would come in crypto, but not in the way that you might want. But that's to be seen, right? Like you never know, man. Things change at such a rapid pace that it's just hard to tell.
Yeah, but it's an interesting conversation because I think from that stems, like how can you position? I'm gonna walk it back. We mentioned this $10 million check. If you were to get a $10 million check for selling this data, you said we'd probably distribute like 70-80% of that back to miners. Would this be retroactive distributions for the ones that mined that specific data, or would this be future distributions for those that continue to contribute to the network, or a mixture?
It's a mixture of both. I don't have the exact number, but like I can say this confidently that the majority of that share would go back to the miners, because it just creates more incentive. The thing is, at the end of the day, we all win. I'll win. The users will win. Token holders will win. The person who is buying our data is going to win. So like, why just isolate that, right?
So what's the incentive for you here? And I just want to hear it in your words. Let's say you got a $10 million check. Like, hey, there's a lot of incentive. You worked on this protocol to get this data. It's yours. It was paid for in Litecoin.
Yeah,
it's got a $10 million check. It'd be awful nice to just hold on to that whole thing,
bro. Like it's hard. It's weird. But it's like, I don't need money like that. Like I'm telling you this straight up. Litecoin is an experiment that I've been working on for fun. And it's been working, and I'm just spending more and more time on it. Mm-hmm. I've only taken like the ETH trading fees that are coming in, and they all go back to like everything else that I'm working on. Like I have a very small percentage of tokens for myself, like literally a very small percentage. I wouldn't even call it a percentage actually. So like everything is like market like available, and then all the trading fees are coming in are like good enough to sustain any founder in this space. Like I just don't see how you want to be able to like dump all your tokens and all your ETH that's coming in. That's second thing. Third thing is I have another avenue of business that has nothing to do with crypto. So there's also that I've been working with. I can pretty confidently say that I was very lucky enough to be able to land like a multi-billion-dollar company as a client recently. So that's also really cool. So that's also another thing that I've been working on that's like completely separate from what I'm doing with Litcoin. And that's literally not affecting my ability to deliver on Litcoin, as you guys can see, at the rate that I'm shipping at, right? So it like does not affect. I just want to say it clearly, like I'm not working on two projects at the same time. I've been working on this since the start of Litcoin, so it's not even like something that's affecting my ability to deliver on what I'm doing. And then like the money is nice, but at the same time, I just want longevity of the protocol, right? I know at the end of the day, like if I'm able to get those $10 million checks, that my protocol would be able to print me money the way I wouldn't even expect. So like it doesn't really matter, right? Plus, I've been in crypto for a long time, man. That says a lot as well about my financial situation too. So like it's like a mix of thing. And then I'm also not anonymous. Like I'm semi-anon on crypto Twitter, but people who know me, and I'm not in the game for rugging people or trying to like just like get a quick buck out of people and get out of here, right? Like my previous venture where we raised $2.5 million for our platform, like I did not see a single dime of that come into my pocket. Like, yeah, I was basically getting paid like a $3,000 a month salary, but that's it. And that was for like a year. And the rest of it literally went into the entire protocol. And we have receipts for that, right? Like nobody can argue the fact that like I am trying to be as honest and as transparent as possible. So like I know where the worry comes from because of what's happened in the past couple of weeks.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree. Like some of the stuff that's happened is complete BS, right? Like you have to be absolutely, can I say retarded on this?
You can say whatever you want.
You have to be absolutely retarded when you have so much momentum coming in, is that you're just dumping your entire stack just to pay for a team that's not even delivering properly, right? So you have to be very careful. And again, like I've tweeted about this before too, a lot of the guys who are working in the AI space with crypto are new founders and they don't know how to navigate the waters. And I'm more than happy to like, answer their questions and try to help them out wherever I can. But at the end of the day, like it's not about the money, right? It's about the impact that we can make. The money always comes. Like that's my thing. The money will always come if you have the right intentions. And crypto is very good about rewarding that. Like just Hyperliquid is a really good example for that. And a lot of other protocols like Cards is also a really good example for that. So like if you just stick around long enough, you're able to make something out of it in this space. And I don't know any single scammer or like a serial dumper in this space that has actually survived. Like every single one of them who've like done wrong to their community have gone to zero. And that's like, you can see that on Twitter, like all day, every day.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And I think it's in your best interest. If you go and sign a $10 million check for your first check, it would make a lot of sense to kind of keep this thing going. I think like the longevity probably yields much more than the initial quick exit. I will say though, I don't think a lot of people are going to be satisfied. I can hear that and trust you. I think a lot of people will see the
absolutely. Don't trust, verify. Don't trust, verify.
Don't trust, verify. It's literally on
I'm not asking anybody to trust me. I'm just asking you to just see what's happening and make your own judgments out of it. That's all there is to it.
So I guess with that conversation, we've kind of seen these models where, I mean, is this something you would potentially think about to like put the community at ease, where maybe you directed all IP to a business that is in an SPV and governed by a DAO, which is the token holders. So at least they could see, or all the inflows of revenues go to this governed business entity, and then those are obviously distributed to miners and used for the protocol. But at least at this point, there is a DAO that Litcoin governs that is this entity, and then all revenues and IP that kind of flows through it is more so the communities and the Litcoin holders stake rather than I guess like just Tekadon's business, if that makes sense.
So are you is there a specific protocol that you have in mind that's doing that?
No, I think in general, it would just be like create a Delaware Corp.
That stuff is easy to do. The thing is that the DAO model itself is flawed. So there needs to be MetaDAO is the only thing that came into my mind. So yeah, I mean, I'm more than open to have that conversation. I don't have a problem with it. If that puts the community at ease, I would say that's a conversation to have when we're like 10x the market cap. You know what I mean? When there's a lot more money at stake, then that's a conversation to have. and that's a quick conversation to have in terms of just setting everything up. Once we get,
sorry, no, I keep going. I don't want to interrupt you.
I was saying, like, you get to a certain level in the market where like the stakes are high. That's when you start looking at these things, right? Right now, I'm not saying the stakes are not high. I'm just saying right now that doesn't matter as much as it will when everything is trading at like 10x, 20x multiples, right? That's when it really matters, because that's what you want investor and like holder confidence. And then at that point, I'll just contact one of the MetaDAO guys. I think Sasha is like one of the co-founders of.
Yeah, I mean, we're good friends with the MetaDAO team. I was speaking with Profit yesterday, actually, specifically on a token model. On there's obviously, I'm sure you've seen Robot Strategy, and Bot is trading like 7x NAV to the private holdings it holds in robot companies. And then Deuce came out recently, which also holds the same companies, but it's trading at like a 0.73 FTV or market cap to NAV. And I put out a tweet about this, and I guess Profit and I kind of had a conversation about what is the disconnect there. Do people not trust the model? So happy to further that conversation. But I think like that would put a lot of token holders. I think that would get a lot of people excited, not only just current token holders, but outsiders.
Absolutely. I just want to be transparent. Like, I don't hold that many tokens. Like, if I dump on the market right now, for example, like I would not move the price.
Yeah,
but I get it. But I totally understand it, and I'm very much open to having that conversation and getting that set up if that puts people at ease, right? Like, that's not something that I'm really worried about. As long as, you know, I'm getting the money out of the protocol to be able to fund everything that we're doing, I think everything else is fair game. And I think that's totally reasonable, considering the fact that this project is only successful because the community is willing to back it.
I think there's something really interesting there. I want to check out. I want to have this discussion at a deeper level. Crypto Jones has another question. Curious on your Treasury wallet. Is it funded with stables or something volatile? I think this is it's funded by Litecoin, correct?
It's funded by Litecoin, yeah.
Yeah.
We're fortunate enough that our market cap to liquidity ratio is pretty interesting. Like, I know the way Banker does their liquidity, but like for a 500K market cap, we have 318,000 in liquidity. That's a pretty significant imbalance there in a good way.
I wanted to ask about this. Is liquidity locked through Banker's mechanism, or how much of this liquidity, I guess?
I don't have access to this. The Banker has access to this.
Okay, but there could be a situation where, because I mean, that gives you pretty much like, you're trading slightly above NAV. We were just talking about net asset value. Yeah. Like, there is 318K in net asset value and liquidity in ETH underlying here. So I'm just trying to figure out who's got access to that. Or
Banker does. Banker does, yeah.
But it is unlocked.
Honestly, this is a good question that I've never asked them either. But I do not have access to any of the LP and stuff like that. And if it can be locked, I think they'll be able to lock it up. But I think because of the way their trading fee model works, that's the reason why they haven't locked it.
Got you.
Yeah. So it's more of a Banker question than for me, because I use Banker because it was the easiest way to launch, right? Everything, whatever trading fees they keep and whatever, I think that's fair game because they already built the infrastructure for me to be able to do what I want to do without having to worry about contracts and things of that sort. But it's a very good question. I think you should have one of the guys from Banker come on and talk to them about this.
We would love an introduction because we do a lot of public good for the Banker community, but we cannot get in contact with Deploy or anyone from the team.
Really? I'm in all the Banker all the big Banker protocols, I would say, are in a chat with them, so I can definitely get an intro going if anything.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Actually, the other day we had like Root AI, Root Edge on, who's beefing with Deployer on the whatever, but nonetheless, that would actually.
No, you guys have been killing it, man. I've been seeing the guests you guys have been getting. It's really great to see. It's really good to see the progress that you guys are doing, and it's good questions and it's good work. You guys are online like all the time.
Terminally online, man. You know it. Let me walk this back again and kind of talk about targeting. You have a lot of users. We talked about the platform and how it works, how the Litecoin distributions work, what staking looks like, and there's like a good bit of nuance to it. I think this is the issue we see with these, or Litecoin or the store of value tokens, mining ecosystem tokens that we see, where there's a lot of nuance. It's kind of difficult to understand for the average user. Like, you kind of have to get in the weeds to fully understand it. I think to
Sure.
some extent that is the same for Litcoin.
Mhm.
Who's your target audience here? Obviously, it's very easy for an AI to just quickly ingest the docs and know everything and produce a really good strategy around it. For
Yeah.
a human user, it'll take some real digging. Who's the target audience of people that you're focusing this towards?
So honestly, now in the day and age where AI is readily available to almost everybody now, I think all you need to do is just copy paste the link and just ask Gemini, or I think Gemini is probably the most popular retail AI tool, or GPT, or even Claude, and just like have them just explain the whole thing for you. So like my initial target audience was obviously AI agents, right? Like you want to you want to have AI agents be able to like just pick up the protocol and just start mining, and then you have a lot more. So I have like a few like very sophisticated, intelligent guys that are like always like breaking the protocol from the back end. So like I'm constantly fixing it up. That's why like I'm doing all the bug fixes all the time, because they're like pushing things, and obviously like I reward them in tokens and money whenever I can, because I just want to make sure that they're getting compensated for their work that they're doing, right? So you have like very extreme power users, and then you have like passive users who are just like have their Python miner open, have 5 million, have their open router key or whatever AI key. Now you can do Venice as well, Venice key, and start mining, and they're okay with whatever's coming their way. And then you have like really layman people who don't really care about mining, they just want to get staking yield. So you can just like have a minimum balance, or you can participate in our guilds and be able to get yield off of that as well. So it's a target audience of everybody who's exposed to crypto, obviously, right? To a certain degree, and who's like interested in AI and who's trying to earn passive income. All those audiences are there. But in order to like understand, I do understand there's like nuances there. But my recommendation is like, if you are having a hard time, either just reach out to me directly. You can just DM me on Telegram, or just input the entire website on your Claude or on your Gemini, and I think they will like very much simplify it for you. That's how I designed it, and I'm always improving our documentation. I'm always improving our quick start guides, just to make sure that there's like more like easily absorbable information, as opposed to like keeping things complex.
Yeah. I mean, and that answer is very like here and now coded. What's going on right now. I guess when you have to look at future, and this is kind of like, I guess, the go-to-market strategy here. What does this evolve into in the next couple months, year? Does it evolve into mainly agents, or what's the go-to-market strategy to just keep getting these miners and numbers up and to the right?
Well, that is already happening. Like that's just like, that's like the most low effort thing now for the protocol, is to just keep getting more miners coming in, because miners are coming in and on a daily basis, right? And then on top of that, you have more adapters. Like we want to expand our research to more complex tasks as AI is getting better, and some of these like free mining is getting cheaper and cheaper. Like not free mining, but like some of these older models are getting cheaper now. We're calling them old. They're only like a couple months old, but they're getting cheaper to use. So people, and they're still pretty intelligent, so people can start using that at a cheaper rate, and just having more diverse data. And then obviously I'm still looking at some of these DeFi primitives as well. And then I'm also looking at essentially looking at the whole gaming aspect as well. Like RuneScape was just one of the steps in the right direction. I still think RuneScape is like a hitter. It's like a missed opportunity. It can completely dominate the crypto space in a way that people just do not comprehend with real world trading and everything like that. Like 10x, 20x their current valuations essentially at this point. And then there's just a lot more that I can't really talk about. But obviously, like every time I publish something and I update something, it's tweeted out. But there's a little alpha here that some of these features have been out for a couple of days. I just spread out my tweets because I'm just testing things out. So if you want to front run, you can front run all these features early on. Like everything is live on production, right? It's all live on production, but like obviously crypto doesn't have the same attention span that it used to. So there's like a lot of time between when I publish something live and tweet. So there's a little bit of alpha there. So I'm always working on something. Right now, obviously I'm using Fable to get through the security stuff, but damn, Fable is so bad at this. Like some of the stuff that Opus built, Fable just downright refuses to do it. So that's something that I'm battling and dealing with right now as well. So hopefully, like, things are going to keep coming. We're going to keep pushing. There's always more stuff coming up. But yeah, I hate giving like, roadmaps, right? Like I said in the last conversation. Also, I'm not going to do the same thing here either.
Fair enough. You mentioned most people can't comprehend like the size of like this RuneScape angle. I'm not sure if I'm fully even understanding this. I
Okay.
remember last time you came on, I think we talked about cards, grading cards, or something
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
with cards. Again, kind of still disconnected on how this ties into the protocol. Can you maybe break this down and help us comprehend this vision that you see?
Okay, so RuneScape essentially is almost 30 years old. It's been around for a long time, and it's like all-time player base, all-time activity. People are earning like real-world money, and all that kind of stuff that's happening, right? The reason why I implemented RuneScape into our protocol is because, first of all, it could predict data, like predict trends. So for OSRS, for example, right, old school RuneScape, their data flows in every 5 minutes, so they actually have like a live order book of everything that's happening. They have like proper APIs, all publicly available. So what the AI agents can essentially do is they can predict like data modeling. So like, let's say, for example, this is where the market trends is heading, gold, and like just a prime example, like party hats are going to start nuking again, or they're going to start going up again, and this is the reason why it's happening, blah blah, like like
So
those
is
kind
it
of
like
trends.
items in the game trade off like real, like when you say party hats, you mean like
Yeah.
the market for like actual party hats at like I don't
No,
know.
so like RuneScape has a black market, and that
Oh,
black
okay,
market
yeah,
is
yeah.
real world trading market.
So within
like,
not like party hats. in real
CS:GO
life.
style.
Yeah.
well, CS:GO is legal.
Okay.
Like Steam allows that, but I think Jagex still owns it, which I don't really remember. Like RuneScape does not allow real world trading at all. I think RuneScape makes like what, $200 million, $300 million in revenue. If these guys actually accepted real world trading and kept a little bit of trading fees with them, they would literally go 20-30x in revenue overnight, just because of what they did. But they refused to do it. I don't know why. I mean, some of these real economies, when I'm going on a tangent here, but when Maduro got captured by the US, the RuneScape economy got affected quite a bit in real life, because Venezuela, like the people in Venezuela, they thought like people won't be able to mine and farm anymore. So like prices of everything was going down. Like, and this prices in game was affecting prices in real life as well, because people weren't like, real world trading, things of that sort, right? It's funny stuff, but it's actually happening, right? So the reason why I integrated into Litcoin is because like I want the research to be able to predict future trends. And that's something AI agents can help do by looking at the data, looking at the models, looking at previous history, and being able to predict that. So that's something that, users can come in. And I have a few power users who are like long-term RuneScape guys who have clans who do flipping, and, they're like market manipulators in RuneScape, so to speak. So like they're looking at these kind of things, and they're giving me feedback all the time on fix this up, this chart's not working, or this data is not accurate, all that kind of stuff, right? So it's improving over time. But like, this was just like a personal thing of mine that I wanted to get in, and the research miners are able to give me the data, and they're earning money, and we're also getting good data out of it, right? So it's just like a full loop at the end of the day. There's like an incentive for everything that I'm building, which is great.
Is the vision then that people will come on with all their individual interests and put out bounties for these miners to go and find them this data, and then they'll go off and do whatever they choose to do with that data?
Yeah, I mean, I have a bounty system already on Bitcoin. It's just people just don't utilize it that much because I don't know, maybe they don't have bounties to give, or they just don't understand the system. Maybe I'll improve on it a little bit more. But we already have a bounty system. It's just like it's not very much utilized right now.
I mean, I feel like this would be more of like a BD enterprise pitch. Like you would just go to enterprises with this, and maybe the average user is not going to use it, but the big enterprises come on with pretty fat bounties, and again, kind of go straight to the protocol rather than we're talking about selling a $10 million data set to AI labs.
Yeah, and they don't even have to pay. They don't even have to pay in Bitcoin. They can pay in USD and USDC, and that USDC just gets transferred back into the protocol itself. Like the entire infrastructure is all there. It's all decentralized. It's all permissionless. It's just, having to get them going, which I'm, slowly working on, right? Like I'm just a one-man guy with a Claude subscription who's working on this, right? And I want to continue doing that because it gives me the creative freedom to be able to do everything that I want.
One question before I jump into Crypto Jones here. We're seeing like the emergence of Open Router and a lot of these, on Base there's Surplus on Solana there's Squire, and these like marketplaces for compute, and it's heavily discounted compute. You can get 80+% off some of these models where it's people renting their idle GPUs, kind of like the DePIN vision we had, I think, years ago in crypto that never really manifested too much.
Yeah.
We're starting to see some of it. Would it ever be an offering? And I think it's an interesting angle here for Litcoin to maybe integrate one of these providers, and people could just come onto the platform and rent out a discounted compute and start mining Litcoin with that. And of course, it's economically viable. If I pay $1 an hour to mine data and I'm getting paid $2 an hour, well, I'm probably going to. And I think very quickly it's lots of incentives for these open routers and whatnot to actually offer it up to you guys, because they'll sell out of their existing supply pretty quickly if people are, again, economically.
Yeah. So for that, I'll just say stay tuned. I am talking to some guys that you guys know about. You guys know them, so I am talking, and hopefully something goes there. But yeah, that is something that I'm actively thinking about. I want to be able to deliver the cheapest pricing for inferences that I possibly can. Plus, like, we had this compute model thought out since this trend even became a thing, where users can offer their inferences on our platform and earn Litcoin out of that. But the person who's trying to get that inference, they have to pay in a different token. It's called Lit Credit. You basically can only mint it as a collateral on a Litcoin. And if you have bad debt, for example, let's say you used up, I'll explain the system. Like, you have 5 million Litcoin, you swap it for like 5,000 Lit Credit, right? And that Lit Credit is always pegged to the compute price baseline, right? So like, I think the compute price is like 0.001 cent per compute coming in, right? And then if you used up your entire balance and you have bad debt within the system, what any user can do is they can pay off your debt for you, and they can also take your collateral away. So it's like a gamified version of this entire like inference model. So not only does it incentivize users who are like, using these compute credits and like going through this inferences, but it also incentivizes another person to be like able to buy their bad debt. It's like an Aave model that we have. I don't advertise it too much because it obviously, like, companies like Squire and Surplus and things of that nature, they're taking over a lot, but and the infrastructure they have is a lot more robust. But yeah, that's something that we thought up and came up with at the beginning. But yeah, definitely talking to a lot of these projects already about bringing this over to Litcoin, and hopefully in the near future, you guys will see something come up.
I think that right there will be a huge onboarding event for Litcoin, especially if it goes natively to their platforms. If they say, you have all the models that they provide and the prices, and there's literally right under a chart where it says, rent this model, and then the amount of money they'll get in Litcoin directly from doing that. And if it's positive, I think a lot of people will just buy up that supply, and quickly you'd see a lot of demand for these companies as well as Litcoin. So I think having that on their platform natively as well as yours is like a super value add.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many companies and so many like individuals who have a lot of quota available to just give away, and they can just give away and still earn money out of that. So obviously, it just makes like perfect sense for that to be integrated into our protocol.
Looking forward to that. It's gonna be a huge unlock. And again, if you need any of those connections, we can probably.
No, absolutely. I'll give you guys a shout if anything.
Okay, sweet. With that said, Crypto Jones had, and again, like Pearl Network is one that's really interesting. I don't want to go on a tangent here. I want to respect your time and let you go. I know you're busy. But have you been seeing the stuff with Pearl Network and this useful proof of work system where, you take AI data centers, whatever is already mining or already using compute, and those matrices allow them to also solve for,
I think I have seen Pearl. I think Sisyphus or whatever, they were talking about it on Twitter. Is it pearlresearch.ai? That's the one.
Let's see. I can get you exactly. Pearl. Yeah.
Pearl. Yeah, I've seen this. I haven't dived too deep into it, but I'll take a look at that. Honestly, right now, I've been focused on this and my other stuff as well. And in terms of just trading, I haven't really been making that many trades. I've just been in. I think last time we talked about, I was just in cards, and cards was trading at like 7 cents. Now it's at like almost 20. Dude, so that's doing really well.
Paying your trade.
Yeah, and then I think for stocks, you talked about robot strategy. I literally bought like a bag 2 days ago, It's
Oh,
super
really?
volatile, but it's very interesting. As usual, everybody should have some exposure to robotics, and I think Andrew Kang is ahead of the game whenever it comes to this kind of stuff, right? So I have that.
I think in
And
the next 6 to 12 months, we'll see a robotic season similar akin to early AI.
I think
season.
I would increase that horizon. Mine is like 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that's valid too.
yeah, 2 years. I think. I mean, it depends. Like, summer is gonna be boring. I said that like a month ago on Twitter as well. But summer is gonna be really boring. So if anybody's thinking of trading in the summer, I highly discourage that. You're gonna lose all your money. But yeah, things that, and then for stocks, I only have hyperliquid strategies.
Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, it's just yeah. But I've just been super busy with Litcoin and my other projects. It's just haven't had any time.
Well, definitely take a look into Pearl Network and these useful proof of work systems
Yeah.
because again, it is using compute that's already being used to for AI and stuff to also mine tokens. And I'm not sure if that can be again. There's no extra cost to them to do so, so it just kind of makes sense. It can be used to like distribute back to their users as like rebates or whatever you want to look at. So it's kind of like a
Yeah.
no-brainer. So it's just interesting thesis that might tie into this somehow, and I'm not sure exactly how that is, but keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I'll definitely take a look. I have heard of this. I'll take a deeper dive in their documentation. I think it's probably valuable to look into it.
Sweet. Yeah, it's a boring read. It's definitely white paper, deep white paper stuff, but it'll be worth it. Nonetheless, Tech It On, always a pleasure talking to you. I think we covered a lot there. Some interesting alpha to look forward to on the, surplus open router kind of side of things.
Yeah.
And we'll chat soon.
Yeah,
One
for
question
sure.
from Crypto Jones though.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say like it's just like you shouldn't follow. Not every project should follow every trend that's happening. That's a bad way of failing. I did that in 2021 and I did that in 2022. So like these new inferences, these companies like Surplus and Square and all these guys are doing great, and I think they will succeed. But not every protocol needs to have the same type of integration into them. I mean, for us, it makes sense, right? I'm not talking about myself. I'm just saying generally, like you have to be a little bit. You have to think outside of the box a little bit because narratives change all the time, right? Like people did not understand the whole data mining space for like a couple of months, and then now they're starting to look at it again. And then the inference stuff, like some of these projects were working on this stuff for months before things got picked up, right? So it's just you got to be ahead of the trend on that aspect.
Yeah, and it's really not even difficult. Or if you're not ahead of the trend, like I think the easiest solution is just positioning in the people that have been building for the longest period of time, like just duration in the market. It's a pretty easy indicator, I think, too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Crypto Jones says, okay, so what's the big unlock or catalyst that brings Litcoin to the next level? And I think this is kind of like a slowly then all at once thing, if you had to ask me.
Yeah.
And I think we're in the slowly phase. Like
I think we're in the middle of that. We had a little burst up, but I think people are still slowly getting into it. But yeah, like getting an AI lab to get into our protocol, I think that would be the biggest unlock. That would complete the entire proving cycle, right?
Yeah.
We've proved that our models are significantly getting better, that we train on our data, and not only once, we've done it 3 times. And then now it's just like giving that proof to these AI labs. One thing I would say though, I really want to make things mobile compatible. I think mobile compute and these mobile models that are coming out are extremely bullish for AI, generally speaking. So that's something that I've been actively looking at as well. Like, how can I give access to as many users as possible without hardware constraints? So that's also going to be a big, huge unlock. And I think the first company, I think Google's already ahead of the trend, but I think the first company that allows like a high level model to be run on a mobile device, it's game over, man.
This is a huge unlock. But like you just mentioned, like 6 things that are huge unlocks that are great for the ecosystem, and you said like you really enjoy doing this as a solo dev because it gives you creative control and like allows you to really function. And I see the value in that. But like, man, I would love to get all these knocked off as soon as possible. And simply one hand on deck is not going to do that as fast as
It's not about the speed of execution. I'm not worried about that. If I can get all six things done like within a week, that's not the issue. And I think that's something that people are really misunderstanding. The literal definition of 100x dev is now a possibility because of these AI models, and you can work on like you can do three different AI models. You can use Claude, you can use Gemini, and you can use GPT 5.6 at the same time and get all these things done. That's not the issue, right? The issue is actually people being able to like execute it. Even if I can like one of the examples I will give, right? I'm not trying to like single anybody out, but this is a pretty decent example. I asked the Surplus guys like what they needed the money for and stuff like that, and he said he hired devs to do the new UX UI change and things of that nature. I was like flabbergasted because like I don't think then you should fire the person who did the UX UI because clearly they didn't do a good enough job with the money you paid them. Like that's not worth it. Like, that's just advice. Like you should fire the guys who did the UI UX because nothing changed from your previous UI UX. And if you paid them thousands of dollars, that is not acceptable, right? Like you're wasting money, you're wasting your time. Nothing has changed. It's just a good, I'm not trying to single them out, right? Like this is just a good example that you show off that the Surplus guy is great. Mac reached out to me before he even launched the project. He was very interested in what I was doing. And I'm happy to go back and forth with him. I'd love to talk to him more about this stuff too. But this is just a good example. Like you cannot just hire anybody. Like that, like the UX UI design, like that thing kind of pissed me off. I'm like, bro, you paid somebody for something that is not even
garbage,
meaningfully different. Like your interface can be extremely good if you just hired somebody more competent. And yeah, that's just like the game that we're playing now, right? But yeah, it's not to get back to your point. It's not a staffing issue. It's your execution layer. I can execute everything properly. It's just like I need to make sure that everything gets checked up properly, right? Like otherwise, like I won't be comfortable to deliver something that I haven't like looked at 100% rate.
I got you. Crypto Jones, and just whenever you got a jump, let me know. But these guys kind of want some of your broader thoughts, I think. Outside of Litcoin, Tech as a trader, and I think core contributor or founder of Litcoin. This is an important example. Tech as a trader, which data inference projects interest you most? Any quick thoughts on that?
I don't have any comment on that. I don't want to pump any bags right now. No, but generally, I think everybody's doing good. It's very interesting how they're able to provide these discounts. I think Surplus, Square, all these guys are able to provide discounts to I think there's like pretty steep discounts as well. So if anybody's looking to get like almost like 80-90% off in some instances on these inferences, you should definitely go check out these protocols and get yourself an API key and get your AI running. But yeah, I mean, obviously Venice is always there. It's like the big one. It's the giant. And Eric Voorhees has always been like at the forefront of the crypto X AI stuff. But those are the two that I know of. I haven't really looked. Like I said, like this is a new trend, right? I haven't really fully looked into it. GitLabs is also obviously interesting, but they got that Xiaomi Mimo integration that they had with the amount of tokens that they got, and then now they're like trying to become a GitHub and inference lab, and so that's also very interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they execute it now, but it's just time will tell, right? But yeah, those are what I've been looking at. I haven't been trading these, but yeah.
Even an interesting conversation I had with a Squire dev not long ago was, it was like, look, VCs are subsidizing $2,000 plus for a $200 Claude code subscription or Codex subscription. Why don't people just go and buy these heavily subsidized subscriptions and they go and just resell them? And he's like, why not? Which I think is kind of crazy. And I think it's at some point, if people are taking these models that are subsidizing thousands of dollars and they're getting them at that 90% discount and they're reselling them for 80% discount or whatever, VCs are going to be forced to kind of wean off the subsidized model or change something. I don't know what that looks like, but
it'll depend, right? Let's see. Whenever Anthropics or OpenAI, I mean, even SpaceX, right? Whenever these guys IPO, let's see what the market reaction is like. If the market reaction is bad, you will see subsidies disappear almost overnight, I think. But if the market reaction is good, then these VCs are going to keep pumping in money because they're going to keep making money.
Yeah. Let's close off with this. Okay. I don't want to keep you too long. Let's talk about the robotics season real quick because Shesha asked for it. Please talk more about the robotics season and coins and tokens related to it. You don't need to mention anything specific.
There's no as far as I know, there's no tokens. If you're interested in robotics exposure, just buy bot. Just buy RoboStrategy. I think they have the best in class. And I think they have very, very early exposure to a lot of the stuff.
Well, that's the thing. Like, what you want to buy, you just don't have access to. So you just got to.
I am shocked. I am shocked that bot doesn't have a perp on Hyperliquid yet.
Truthfully, you know what? That's a missed opportunity.
I was literally looking at it yesterday. I'm like, let me just buy some bot. Like, how is that not possible? And the fact that it's not there is like, okay.
Truthfully, missed opportunity because I feel like it's kind of crypto coded too. Like a lot of the same crypto people are talking about.
I think it'll come. Just a matter of time. But yeah, right now, I don't think any crypto project is doing anything robotics based. I wouldn't trust anybody on that. If you're going to look at real companies. And a bot is a RoboStrategy is probably the best way of getting exposure. It is hyper volatile though, so just be careful. I think it's been swinging like 20% today, up and down.
Hyper volatile and trading at a steep premium. So, you have to really be long-term aligned. And I think assuming that the NAV is going to increase. And of course,
no, apparently the NAV calculations are highly misaligned right now.
Really?
Didn't they tweet about that yesterday?
I saw they just did an investor call, which I listened to briefly earlier today, but I didn't get through the entire thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that would be news to me.
But they said NAV is subject to change so significantly. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, the whole point of robotics right now is speculation. If you're looking at numbers, then you're doing the wrong thing here.
Yeah. Well, and with all these companies that you're looking at NAV, it's of course, subject to change, right? How much can they go raise to put more money into these private companies? That just initially increases the NAV, right? Because they're same strategy, strategy uses where you have the stock and you can sell more shares and use that to fund further investments or vice versa. Yeah. And so nonetheless,
it's different. But yeah, anyways, summer is gonna be boring. Just letting you know, you might get steeper discounts at the end of August or at the end of July. But I wouldn't hold my breath because last year's cycle we had a really good summer because the cycle moved up a bit because of Trump's tariffs bullshit. This year he's not doing that much. He did that early on in the year with the Iran stuff. So we're back at the regular cycle now. So like sell in May and walk away. That's probably a good idea for a lot of people.
Are you under the general impression that a sell-off in equities would lead to some level of rotation to crypto? Like, why are we not seeing attention in crypto? Is it because the outsized returns are outside of crypto, and so that's where I guess retail and attention is, and it'll.
I'm very much a believer now that we're still in a cycle. We're like still cyclical. I thought like we depegged and things changed, but I don't think anything changed.
Oh, we're still following the 4-year cycle to the T. I mean, it's just a month. Every single cycle has preceded the previous one by a month every single time, tops and bottoms. So
people will be shocked how many like OG Bitcoin whales are still OG Bitcoin whales, and they still like make the price happen the way it does. Sailor is just another one of those distractions. But yeah, like I think we probably have a good end of the year. My thing is Q4 is going to be great. But yeah, that all also depends on SpaceX IPO, right? I think it's in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, very soon. And OpenAI, I think OpenAI has privately filed as well. So,
but I don't think they're IPOing this year.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I don't.
If they IPO, if they IPO before, I mean, if they're gonna IPO, they have to do it before Anthropics.
Well, I think that's the race, right? So, but nonetheless, great conversations as always. Tech it on. Loving Litcoin. I really like the experiment here. I mean, from a purely experimental standpoint, obviously I have a position in Litcoin, but like I'm willing to take that risk, and I think I want to see this be successful. So we talked about a lot today. Definitely going to bring this up to profit a little bit. And I just think discussing this model would be interesting. It was always of my belief that MetaDAO is really cool, but what we need is full IP ownership over like agentic operated platforms. And
I agree. Yeah.
I think
agree.
that's like the end goal. So gonna have that conversation, and I think there's a lot we can discuss offline. But thanks so much again, Tekadon. As
No
always, a
worries.
pleasure.
Take care.
More power, peace.
Take care. Bye bye.
Legend. We lost Josh. He got a migraine. Pussy. But I'm here rocking with you long and strong. Are you mining or staking with your Litecoin? No, I'm not mining or staking my Litecoin. I just hold spot. And I'm probably gonna actually accumulate more. Frankly, at these levels or slightly lower, I'll probably just turn on some sort of DCA for Litecoin because I do think 550K is absurd. I think it's a good story. Like, again, I'm in the same boat as Tekadon. I don't bid a lot. Like, there's very few things I hold right now. I think the narrative and story here is very powerful. Like, meaningful number increases. I think people can get behind the idea that, and again, I say it over and over again, I sound like a broken record, but agents are going to do what's most economically viable. And people will too, right? If you can offer inference for $1 and you can go and turn that inference into $2 by mining Litecoin, you're going to, and that meaningfully increases the network. So I think it's a very easy narrative to sell, and whether it actually manifests into something that ends up making, $10 million, $100 million from these data contracts, that would be even better. If it doesn't, I still think you can sell the narrative. So I'm pretty aligned and bullish, I think, with Adon in general and Litecoin. So why am I not staking and mining Litecoin, or mining with Litecoin or staking with it? I don't know. Maybe I should. Maybe I'm just lazy. Why not? Maybe I should. Like, again, I'm not saying you should not mine or stake Litecoin. I own Litecoin, and maybe I have to do this if I want to increase my return. Maybe it's smart. I haven't looked into it. I've had these conversations with Adon, and I've looked into the numbers. I follow him closely on Twitter, but outside of that, I haven't even dug into, where I would stake, how I would stake. I probably should. I definitely should. Maybe I'll talk to him offline, and he'll help guide me through the best decision there. But yeah, nonetheless, I think it's a great conversation. I think, again, full alignment with cycle theory. I think we're, in the midst of that cycle. I don't think anything's changed. I think 4-year cycle still is prominent. Yes, because OG Bitcoin holders still control that, and I think they're largely in control. And also, just like we are seeing it get front run every single month, every cycle, by month, every single cycle. And of course, that's just the nature of the market. They're going to, as the market becomes more sophisticated, they're going to predict this kind of stuff. But yeah, what else? Robotic season coming. I think he's also pretty, I say 6 months, but I do think he's more accurate with expanding that time horizon to maybe like 2 years. We're in the infancy stage of it nonetheless. What else? Markets. Yeah, let me check what's going on chain. I mean, we're pretty much bearish. Equities going down today. Everything else, I'd say Clude's getting to an interesting area. Let me just pop out charts here. Well, yeah, for a quick second, but I'm jumping after this, boys. I got a lot to do. Collector Crypt cards. This is one Tekadon's in. Yeah, if you get this entry, slam, not financial advice, of course. Myself and Mr. Tekadon are in from down at these lower levels. We had the great conversation early on, but Twom has explained how he wants all value from cards to derive to token holders. Yes, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it. It's not actually implemented. There's nothing guaranteeing that happens, but he's made his intentions clear, and I think once you make them clear, you have to follow through on that, especially when you're public facing. But we saw annualized they're doing like $88 million right now based on recent numbers. And that's pretty incredible. The overhang of supply is one thing people are worried about. I think they're going to probably buy back a lot of that, is what I've heard. But even if you are, taking the FTV at face value, again, you still have a multiple of like 5, right? Which is relatively low for the growth we're seeing month on month for cards. 30 million in underlying assets. I think that 30 million jumps to 50, 60 million very quick as we see the cards are going out of stock quickly. So they need to restock. And I think that gives, again, a net asset value of the company, despite not actually having that ownership as cards holders, but assumed ownership, at least 30 million. So if you get in this box, it's like slam fast for me. And again, that'll be an ad. I'm in with pretty good size from down low. So I've been happy with this. Outside of that, I hold Collide, as you guys know, which is not performing well. This has been opportunity cost 101. But I still align with the mission. $7.8 million market cap. Again, 5% is on chain. Fundamentally, this should be at 14 mil. So there's literally a fundamental 80, 90% jump it should have. And that's if you take off the previous $280 million raise that they did. I think they're also doing more rounds now, and they probably closed a lot more capital. So Kled, just do what you want. I would add positions here. Litcoin, of course, we talked about already. Clued is another interesting one. I think they do the ace round. This gets very interesting in the zone. I am, of course, probably a buyer there. Pump, I think, is one that comes back with the market. So let it kind of give you a better entry until the market turns up. I think you'll have plenty of time to kind of spot this and get a low entry. Venice is on a bit of a dip. I think AI season on base is starting to suffer a bit from it. And this probably gets a nice reset. It was heated up again. One of the positions I've publicly been talking about since those lows. And I think we do get a bit of a cool off period here. Banker proxy on base. If we think base is going to get another base season, Banker's a good bet here at 45 million. Tekadon launched on Banker because it was the easiest one to do it through. So 45 mil. I think if this is the launch pad of choice during a base season, this reprices quite drastically. Although I wouldn't be putting my chips in that basket right now until we see some more life. So yeah. Outside of that, I think here's Pod. Pod's actually holding up relatively well compared to Venice, which I think is interesting. This is their uncensored model provider. They're also doing the peer-to-pool inference structure, which I think is really the most interesting play here. I think Deepin failed at this, but I do think there is someone can get it right. Pod's an interesting one. They're a good team. Squire, we just talked about, inference provider. Of course, they're doing the inference. It's at a nice dip if you believe in the vision. So that's all I'm going to have for you guys today. There's Squire for you, Ave. Yeah, I think it's at a decent position if you like this narrative. Need to see revenues, how those revenue numbers are going. Ties back to the token as well. Do you think these big IPOs are going to crash the Bitcoin price and potentially broader TradFi market? I think we're at deep value for crypto and Bitcoin right now. So if it does, I'll just buy more. Will it? No, I kind of stick to my general thought, which feels like, we've correlated a bit more to equities, at least during the start of Trump's term. We really did. I think we've decoupled a good bit now. And so I have no reason to really believe crypto is going to stay coupled to equities. Of course, if equities are nuking, Bitcoin probably will nuke for that day. Although, we're down 2%. We're on a very big dip right now for the Qs and S&P and Dow Jones, et cetera. In equities, and crypto is holding up relatively well these last couple days, specifically against them, right? So, look at the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. We're down, currently down 6.6%, at the lows 8%, whereas Bitcoin the last 6 days. Now, prior to this, again, stocks are still at all-time highs here, but prior to this, Bitcoin was nuking. But during this real nuke in the equities market, Bitcoin's been holding up relatively well. So I guess this would be a better look at it. So I'd like to believe, even if these IPOs do top the market, there is the flow into crypto, because I do believe we're kind of coming into lows of the cycle in the next couple months, if not close to being there already. And I do think as crypto starts to outperform / market does not perform well, and makes less sense to be in that market, we're going to see some of that trickle happen into crypto. So extra sort of like a mini Kled. Is this the one on EZA? Yeah. I don't know. Kled's at 8 million on-chain value, which is like 120 million value to the actual company. So it's actual company's $300 million of valuation, and on-chain trading at like 120, 130. So I'm not looking into minis. I'm looking into the main one, I think, right now. I don't think there's a point in chasing betas, especially in this market. So yeah, holding on to my Kled. I haven't sold any recently. So dead cat bounce playing out on Bitcoin, in my opinion. Yeah, it could be a dead cat. Very well could be. All right, guys. That's all I'm going to do for today. We appreciate you. Been a good stream, 3 hours and 17 minutes straight through. Jill's going to be on tomorrow. It's been fun. We had some great conversations. Going to get those full things rolling out soon. So appreciate you guys. Stay locked in as always. We'll be here showing up tomorrow. Let me give you a schedule check right quick. Tomorrow is a banger. Okay. Where is it? Schedule update. Josh just threw this out on the TL. today, obviously, we had OS, we had Predict. I should have asked Sally about the ticker symbol here. I think going with the DIC ticker symbol was a bold move. Maybe not well thought out, but I digress. Tomorrow we have Karma coming on. This was requested to have Karma coming on. Apparently their numbers are looking really good. And like market cap comparable to Avicii is actually at a discount. Not completely familiar with that. So going to have to get the update from Amrish. Prim is coming on. This is a new DeFi primitive happening on Ethereum. Of course, it's pretty interesting. They're doing indexing. Anyone can make their own index. There's a flywheel attached to it. Should be an instant conversation. And then LeanFi following that at 115, which should be a great conversation. Again, kind of bringing RWAs on chain and property liens on chain. So something that I'm not very versed in. Gonna have to get the full scoop there. That's tomorrow, guys. Tap in. Obviously, Friday we have Baseline doing something really, really cool there. JTVO and Sunrise with a big announcement. So Friday's gonna be cool as well. Throat's hurting. Your boys got to get to work. So appreciate you guys. Chat soon. As always, GMCG. Surviving this market till the good times come. We love you.